Alrighty, hopefully everything is working well. I gotta switch us. We're on the wrong side of the windows. There we go, we're now switched. Get your good side.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Anyway, welcome to NOVAtazz's Automotive Podcast, Season 4, Episode 41. Where we're gonna probably change everything up next year. I was just thinking about this a little bit ago. I think I'm gonna take January off and revamp the background and all of that shit, and possibly look at doing a different setup for our group chat kind of thing that we do. And so find a different platform to log into. Probably something that's probably going to be a little bit more easier to log in and out of, and that I don't have to screen capture, that I could probably just import directly into OBS. Hey, cat's being photobombed by a cat.
Well, he's
Taking a bath.
Yep. Well,
He needs
he's a big old fat cat.
He needs a rubber ducky. And a shower cap. Don't even think about it. You're thinking about it.
Well, the one thing is, he's so old he doesn't care.
You could put a shower cap on him and he wouldn't care.
He wouldn't care. Well, bear in mind, he's 23 years old.
Wow.
Like,
that's not even like old for a cat. That's ancient.
Yeah. Like
he's like eating dinner with the fucking pharaohs from Egypt. Kind of.
Yeah, equivalency to human years, he's like 110 or something. Like, he's really old.
Okay.
And yet, he's still relatively healthy. Like, I need to give him medication for his kidneys every day. And, he has a bit of arthritis, but other than that, he's good.
I have a pit bull. That's what I have.
Yeah, I have this one. Well, even my other cat, he's not, like, he's only 14.
That shows up so much more on camera than it does in real life. The dirt.
Oh yeah.
I was like sitting here like, what is on my arm? And because it doesn't, I can't really see it. I can see that one, but I can't really see it that much. And then I look it up on the camera, and it's like, oh wow, that's really dirty looking. But anyway.
I have done nothing to my car, because actually there's something you could do to my convertible, because, well, my other one isn't here right now. Because I'm kind of borrowing the Capri while Stitch is up in Edmonton, though.
Yeah, you're still borrowing. Is there no more progress done on the manual swap?
No, just waiting for the clutch fork to get in, which should be this week, I believe.
Oh, there you go. That should be fun in the winter.
Oh yeah, it'll be great. Like,
because that's now going to be, that's the inline 6 car, right?
Yep.
Inline 6 manual transmission with locking rear.
Yes.
In the snow.
Oh yeah, it'll be great.
It's either that, or you got the convertible, which is going to suck as far as thermal insulation, because cloth tops absolutely suck in the winter.
Actually, like, that thing, if the window seals and, like, if there wasn't holes in the top, it actually would be fine. But because of that, it fogs up a decent amount because of, because where the back window is, there's a hole about that big, give or take.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just, that top actually, I could get it patched, but it still needs new seals all the way around and stuff like that. And just at that point, you may as well just swap the entire thing.
Well, the patch would just be for keeping rain out and shit, so that way you don't end up with holes in your floor. Don't mind me. I have housekeeping while we're doing this. What?
Oh, he got injured on that?
Oh, you're watching hockey?
Yeah, this isn't, the Flames don't play till 8 o'clock, and, so, got another hour. But, the thing is, because I'm watching the Leafs and Boston game, and I was trying to figure out, like, why did Samsonov let that one in? Because it's, Ilya Samsonov is the Leafs goalie. And, yeah, because it was a penalty shot, and he just kind of fell backwards, and apparently he injured his knee in that play. So now they're on their backup goalie right now, which not a good sign for Toronto.
Yeah.
But, well.
Are you bored already? My dog's bored of our live stream already. He left.
Oh, well, it happens. But like, yeah, because the only thing that I'm currently waiting for because literally, as soon as I have that clutch fork, it'll be next week that I travel back up there. And it should be within a couple of days that we have the entire thing done, because the majority of it is already done.
Right.
Like, or at least the hard part was. The hard part was getting those damn pedals in.
Right.
And, and then now, though, what's kind of nice, is that, because she's actually getting a couple of upgrades as well, from the parts car, that, not my parts car, one of Keith's parts cars. There was an 82 GT, just absolutely horrible car. Like, cool car, but just how rough it was. And what we kind of deduced, just from thinking about it more, was because we were trying to figure out, okay, it's got damage at the front end a bit, and it's got a bunch of water damage inside the car. Like, what happened to this thing? And what we kind of figured out is, because I thought that somebody grabbed the core support and yanked it from that, but actually I think what happened was it crashed into like a lake or something, and that's why it has all that water damage and stuff. So that's why there was a guy, he was asking me in one of the groups if I would sell the door panels off of it. And I'm going, dude, they're done. Like, everything in that interior is gone. Right? So it's just, and how rusty the car is and everything. Like, the thing was so rusty that we were pulling, because actually that's where I got the pedals out of, was that car. So I had to get the seat out of the way, just make it a lot easier on ourselves.
Yeah, and you do mechanic yoga.
Yeah, well, the bolts came out really easy. The last one did not want to come out. However, the floor was so rusty that Keith just grabbed it, yanked it, and ripped it out of the floor.
There you go. You can deal with the stuck bolt inside the shop.
Yeah, it's just, oh god, that thing was awful. But it donated the rear hatch to the Capri outside as well. And I also stole the. Actually, no, that wasn't for that. That was for his 86. Because we stole the blower motor switch out of that thing too.
There's a local guy here that sells Trans Am parts. I might have to hit him up for some different things. That I've noticed that I don't have. But yeah, I worked almost 60 hours this week in 5 days.
Oof.
Monday through Thursday, I worked 5:30 to 5:30, which means getting up at 4. And this is with like leaving myself no time to do anything. That's basically just getting up, throwing clothes on, and going to work. I had to get up at like 4:20 in the morning to get there to 5:30, and then I wasn't coming home until after 6. And I'm the one that makes dinner, so I had to get everybody up and ready, make dinner, and then like after dinner and all that, I would try to find some time to come out here and work on doing all this stuff, which I posted updates. I think there's updates both on Instagram, and I did post the updates in our group chat. I've got the fuse box all sorted out. I know exactly how it's getting wired. I know what parts I need to do it. The video that I found that fuse block on, they also had a power distribution block from Bussmann as well. So I'm using the Bussmann RTMR, I think is what it's called. And it's bussed on the fuse side. So the positive side of the fuse, or battery side of the fuse, has it's basically one bar that runs across all the fuses on that side. They also have one where there's 2 buses, where you have one bus that goes up the positive side of the fuse panel of the fuses, and they have another bus that goes down and connects to one of each of the relay, like one pin on each of the relays on the opposite side. So you have a positive, you have a negative. Because of the fact that I have both positive triggers and negative triggers on my relays, I couldn't use the one with 2 buses. I had to find one with a single bus.
Huh.
Ooh, excuse me. So I ended up with that one. It's the RTMR 1500 5, I think. And of course you have to put your own terminals and wires in it, and fuses and relays. So I had to figure out what all I needed as far as wires to run it, what relay, what I know what relays go in it, but I needed to find out how many terminal connections for each size of the wires that I needed, and all that, because you gotta, it's 40 open terminals on the back side of it, so just 40 holes that terminals go in. It would have been more like, I think 50 if I didn't have the bus for the positive side of the fuses, because otherwise that would be individual terminals as well. But I think 12 of them get blank plugs, and then I gotta have jumpers that go from the fuses to the relays, for the power to go out to the accessory. So it goes from fuse to relay, and then there's a line that comes out the other side of the relay that goes to each of the individual components. And then three of the relays get power directly from the bus bar to the trigger wire for the relay. Those are the ones that get negatively grounded. So they get triggered by the negative ground. So the sniper terminates its end of the wire to ground, and that's what turns on the relay. So if you think about it, it's a relay is nothing but a switch. The power is always on, and the sniper will ground out its end to complete the circuit, which will turn the relay on, which will send power through the relay out to whatever I needed to power. But the top two, they are positively triggered, because they're going to get triggered from the ignition key on wire coming from the car's harness. So that's going to come in from the car harness, go into the positive trigger on the relay, and the negative will be permanently grounded. So when you turn the key on, it turns on the relay and sends power to the sniper and to the hyperspark ignition system. So because of the fact that I have both 2 positively triggered relays and 3 negatively triggered relays, I couldn't just use the single bus, the double bus bar, because on a double bus bar, either all of your positives are permanently triggered, or all of the negatives are permanently triggered. Otherwise, I probably could have done it, but I would have had to flip 2 of the fuses upside down. And I could see where that could get confusing, and you could accidentally put the fuse in the wrong way and cause some havoc.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, it's what to me can be like, I understand sort of a lot of the very, very basics of it.
This. Hold on, let me see.
I
don't have it open.
But even like when people I look at a wiring diagram, I don't understand what I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, it's easier to explain it with a wiring diagram.
Yeah, but I physically had people show a wiring diagram in front of me and try to explain it. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's something about wiring that just does not compute in my head. I could look at a diagram for a lot of other things, and it's fine. But wiring is just one of those where I'm like, it does not stay in my head.
Yeah.
Which, because speaking of wiring, not that this is hard wiring at all, because I don't actually have to do any wiring. It's just plugging it in. Is because I actually have. I meant to hook that up the other day, but I just didn't. And now there's too much snow on the ground again, so I gotta wait for it to be nicer so I can do this again. Because when the guy bought my convertible, he did the 302 swap, he deleted the cruise control.
Right.
Which is that wouldn't have been very hard to retain it, but whatever. And he also deleted the AC and everything too. And I wanted to retain that stuff. So I actually have a cruise control module from that 82 parts car that I mentioned, with the bracketry and everything, so I can just bolt it straight onto my motor, and I should be able to just plug it in and see if it works.
Right.
But I need a nice day to be able to do that and test it, because it's still an all-season tires. So I'm not going to put my winter tires on my car.
Right. Where's layers at? Oh, there it is. That's outline. That's not what I wanted. There we go. So, opacity, maybe? I have it so small now that I can't make it hard to use. Why is it opened up like this? There we go. Opacity. Okay, so I don't know how well you can see this. Try to zoom in a little bit. So this is the busman relay. It's 1530055. So it's got a single bus that runs right up through here. That powers the one side of the fuse, right? So to get the power from one side of the fuse to the other, you go through the fuse and it ends up in this terminal here. Which, let me zoom in even more. I'll just look at one fuse or one relay. Can I get this all in one window? I don't really need... Do I need that other panel?
Oh, what is... Oh, stop doing that.
I guess it's not letting me get rid of this other thingamajiggy. Yeah, it's as small as it'll go. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, colorful spaghetti. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's wiring in a nutshell.
Yeah, you should see. I have a whole bowl full of spaghetti behind me. Whole bowl full of spaghetti.
That's a box full.
Yeah, it's like ramen. Anyway, so you have the bus bar over here on this side. This supplies power to the relay. It jumps over the relay, and then it goes from this terminal here and jumps over the fuse, and it goes from this terminal here and jumps over to the relay. So the relay is these 6 terminals here, right? You got and considering this is a 4-post relay, it's only using this post, this post, this post, and this post. These 2 are empty. The green dots are empty. So you jump from power from the fuse over to the relay, and then the power goes through the relay and comes out this terminal down here. And then this goes off to, whatever it is. This is actually the sniper fuse. So this fuse would go from here and send power out to the sniper. But to turn on this fuse and to connect the path from this terminal to this terminal, you gotta trigger it. Well, the sniper ones, they're triggered by the coil wire. I'm using the wire that would have powered the coil if I would have been using a stock setup. But because I'm using the Hyperspark, I don't need that wire anymore because that wire is not going to be running to the coil. The Hyperspark is controlling all that. So it's an unused wire. It's an unused keyed power. It's got power during cranking. So it's an unused wire that has power during cranking, and I'm going to use it to power the relays that turn on the sniper and the Hyperspark ignition stuff. So it has power during cranking and it has power during run, which is the only times you need to have the sniper on. So that's this little pink line that's coming down through. That would be that coil wire. It's going to come in and it comes in and hits these two spots. These are your triggers. So this turns on the relay is these two spots here. So we'll stay with this one right here. So power comes in, hits this relay, jumps over to the negative, and goes out the ground. In doing that, it turns the switch on and sends power from the fuse through the relay and out to the sniper. So it's like telling Alexa to turn on the lights. It's basically what a relay is.
Yeah.
Instead of you going over there and manually turning on the lights, you're telling someone else to go turn on the lights. But it also means that that high draw that's coming from the battery to the accessory isn't going through your little tiny switch that you might have on the dashboard or whatever. The switch is only handling a half an amp to turn on the relay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I do know that part of it, and like whatever else. It's just like physically reading a diagram just confuses me. It just does.
Well, technically, this isn't necessarily. I mean, it is a wiring diagram, but it isn't what
like that one isn't too bad.
No, this is not a traditional wiring diagram, and it's even easier if I get rid of my template, which is the actual like. All right, so I started with, if I turn off all of these wires, I started with an actual diagram of the fuse box itself, the relay box itself. So this is what the relay box looks like when you get it, right? You have all these holes, they're all empty, and you have a terminal down here, and then that's it. This terminal here is for the, the bus bar. So you hook one wire to this, it powers this whole bar across the side. So I took that, and then I took that and I started drawing over top of it. So I drew basically a very simplified version of that on top. And then I started putting my wires in of where I wanted to go, because I tried doing it on a piece of paper and it kept coming out all messy and whatever. In fact, I have, where did I put that? Yeah, here we go. Let me, no, I don't want that. I don't want to remove it. I just don't want to show it. Okay, here we go. I had a paper one that I did, which that's even less easy to read. That's it. It'll probably be easier if I go this way. So that's the paper version of the same thing that I just did with all the different colorful whatevers. So I did it on here, and all the green spots are the holes that I'm not using. So they'll get like a little rubber plug that goes in them. And then of course, then on top of that, then you have all the trigger wires. So these are all the wires that are going to turn on the relays. This is what turns on the switch. So the ones over here on this side are all the negative ones, and all the ones on this side are all the positive ones. Oh, actually no, that's actually the trigger wires and the power outs, because these ones over here are the power outs. I didn't label this very well. I got to move some stuff around because I have stuff in the wrong spots. The wrong, like, I have different layers. I have stuff on the wrong layers. And then these are all the jumper wires that are coming from the fuses powering stuff. So the power comes in this side, goes through the fuse, and then these ones power different terminals on the relays. So yeah, I figured, like, this is all the stuff that I've had to figure out all week while having like no sleep.
Yeah, it makes it easier, sure. For something that's already kind of a pain to try and figure out, when you just add the added stress of not having sleep,
What made it more of a pain in the ass is the fact that, of course, I have 3 that are being turned on with a negative switch, and then I have 2 that are being turned on with a positive switch. So it's not like I could do the same thing for all of them, you know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
wire the whole thing the same way, and then it doesn't matter where I plug anything into, as long as I plug it in, the right trigger wire to the right component. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not plugging the trigger wire for relay number 1 and then powering it with relay number 2, and wondering why shit's not working. But this one like I said, I had to wire half of the box one way, and then the other half of the box I had to wire it the other way. Because you see, like, only 3 of them are grabbing power from the battery to trigger the, to supply power to the relay. And then the other ones are getting power from the fuse panel, from the car harness. So, and what I was trying to say earlier is, let me just remove this and get rid of it. Stop sharing. They used a three-way power distribution block from the battery. So it would go from the battery into the distribution block, and then they had one of the legs going to that relay box. They had another leg going to the alternator, and then the last leg went to the starter. Now my harness for the car gets its power off of the starter. So like the fuse panel inside my car, it gets its power down off of the starter. So the positive terminal on the starter, it goes from the battery to the starter, and then from the starter into the fuse panel. I thought your father was joining from a different stream. I don't know. He's just sitting there. He's muted. I don't know if he's muted for a reason or if he doesn't realize he's muted.
No, I'm muted for a reason, because I get the game on in the background, so I didn't want to blow the stream up while y'all was talking.
Oh.
And I don't know how long I'll be in, because I'm in a winter storm, 70-mile-an-hour wind, several blowovers, and my service will probably go to hell when I cut it through the woods. So I figured I'd grab my while I could. When it disappears, that's my farewell for the night.
Alrighty.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, hey, stay safe, and
yes.
don't roll your truck over in the wind.
Yes, driving is more important than this live stream.
Yeah, ain't gonna happen. I'm smart enough to slow down. Not my first rodeo, but I saw 6 trucks within an 8-mile spot, and 4 of them were asshole to tail. Right behind each other on the shoulder. Bing, 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 bing.
Well,
all got hit with the same
that
dust.
means somebody slammed on the brake instead of being attention to where they were going.
Well, they got hit with the same gust of wind. They were all laid down, and back to back.
Oh, the wind came across the road and blew them over.
Yeah, blew them over. But they were all on the shoulder, maybe 2 car lengths apart when they all finally came to a stop.
Well, I'm sure their cargo looks like a stepped-on Twinkie.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, actually, so nearby, there's a town called Old. It's only about 40 kilometers away from me. That's probably about 25 miles, give or take. And the main overpass to get onto the number 2 highway going southbound, there was 3 semi-trucks that piled into each other, plus like 4 cars that did. And I'm like, guys, like, why are you so stupid when it comes to driving in winter? I don't get it. Like, I understand conditions were not great today. It was somewhat blizzardy. Because just yesterday, there was hardly any snow anymore. A lot of it had melted. There was nothing on the cars, and then hey, look, they're buried in snow again. So yeah, it's so funny how people don't understand to drive for the conditions or anything, which is kind of what I tried to sort of hammer home in the video I put out today, actually, which was just sort of some tips on how to drive a classic during winter, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot different. Like people just say, "Oh yeah, just throw winter tires on, good." Well, no.
First tip for driving your classic car in the winter: don't unless you have to.
That Like, and
That's
like,
tip number one.
oh yeah, like there are so many people that like many people got upset with me for making this video, and it's so funny because like
But
some
the thing is these were daily drivers at one point.
exactly like yeah. You think, mind you, like that Capri out front was actually a nice car in its day. Black, like it's a triple black car and stuff like that. But back then it wasn't that expensive of a car. Like yes, it's a V8 car, but it's a gutless V8 car. And even if you go like 10 or 15 years ago, it was probably winter driven. And case in point of how much rust the thing has, I can almost guarantee it was winter driven because there's a hole in the driver's door about that thing.
Yeah.
Like and just from rust. But like basically I preface in the video by just telling people to what, slow down. It's okay if you are not going what the speed limit says on the sign. That's a maximum, or that's the recommended speed for when you are in optimal conditions.
Right.
But also like I showed a bunch of driving, and showing people like I went on a really sort of snowy area that I knew I would slide, and I pinned didn't actually fully pin the car, but showed like, hey, if you use too much throttle, you'll start to spin the tire. Or if you slam on the brakes, you're gonna slide, right? And especially in the wintertime, like you have to think about what you're gonna do. And some of this can be applied to even just regular winter driving as well. But I was just mostly saying it because like there's gonna be a lot of people that like for example, the young kids or whatever that they buy a project car. It's say it's an old Fox body or an '80s Camaro or whatever, but they can't afford multiple cars, so they're gonna drive the car they have.
Right. That's what I did.
And it was basically those type of people, right? I understand the vast majority of people that watch my channel, that is going to do nothing for them. I understand that, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm looking for those new viewers in that regard.
You'll pick up all those other people. And one of the things that I do whenever I get a new car, whether it's a classic or whatever, if I'm going to be driving it in any kind of conditions, wet weather, whatever, I take it to a big parking lot. Especially if it's raining or snowing, I'll take it to a big parking lot. And I'll throw it. Not like throw it like, chuck it. But like I'll go in and I'll start off not super fast, but I'll slam on the brakes. See what it's going to do. Whether, dry conditions, wet conditions, snowy conditions, you got to do it in everything. You hit the brakes, you turn the wheel hard, you turn the wheel hard left, right, just to see how the car reacts, because every car reacts differently. Even if it's the same car, even if you buy two Trans Ams may not handle identically the same.
Oh, well, actually, that's actually the interesting part, because like I preface this in the video too, to where I have now driven, like, excluding like a 4-cylinder car or whatever, but like every sort of iteration of the Fox body, and like not the Arrows either, but they all are different because like my convertible.
You can have two V8 GT cars, both identical when they came from the factory, but both those cars have been through two completely different lives, and can handle completely different because again, 30 years of a car being around. Different modifications, different types of shocks than maybe factory. One might have good shocks, one might have bad. The cars are gonna handle differently. Even if they were identical at the factory, by now they're gonna handle differently.
That's true. That is definitely true.
Drastically change their handability or compatibility. Knock the wing or spoiler off one.
Mm-hmm.
One with and one without, and go see how they handle, because they're going to be, night and day difference between the two.
Especially the TAs, because they were literally designed with that wing and with that rear spoiler in mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's no different. Like, and I'll be curious to see how it's going to be, because my knockback Stitch, I got a new trunk kit for the car. I found it in a junkyard, and like it's got perfect patina on it, but it's not going to stay full on patina. Just because like eventually the car will get painted and whatnot. That will be there. But something that I'm doing, and I don't know how it's going to feel because that spoiler made a huge difference when I got the car because it was just so wayward on the highway. But it won't have the spoiler on it throughout the winter. So we'll see
Yeah,
how that
might
affects
cause
things.
you some issues with traction. Not traction at a stop, but traction on the highway.
Yeah, and it might. I don't know. Like, I'm going to test it out. Like, and the only reason why it's not for, hey, I want to change the lookup of the car. God no. I just don't want to clean the snow off that damn whale tail. Pain in the ass. Because unlike the spoiler that's on the Capri right now, it's not too bad because it's just a little ducktail, right? It just does that. Not too bad. But when you have a giant whale tail with space underneath of it and a big lip about that tall on it, it gets kind of pain to try and clean it off, right? And most of the time, I don't clean the thing completely off. I just make sure I can see out the back window, and that's where I leave it.
I'm going to take this second here. If you guys are watching the live stream and you enjoy it, hit the like button and share it out to as many people as you can. Because the more people we can get in here, the more fun we can have. So share it out. Get some other new people in here. Get some old people in here. We just need to get some more people in here. So if you can, share out the live. I much appreciate it. Okay, did I completely interrupt you there, Kat?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of what else I was going to say, to be honest. Yeah, like, because, yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to see how it feels, and in the wintertime as well, like, they're not in there currently, but they will be in there. Because I've got, of course, my sandbags, and I've actually got individual weights, too, that are, 10 pounds a piece or whatever, and about 5 or 6 of them that I put in the trunk, as well with sandbags to help, get that traction down.
I used to, I had the original rear from my Nova, and I used to throw that in the trunk.
Actually, because
it worked great until the one time that I had to avoid something and the rear shifted in the trunk, and I ended up with several nice symmetrical round dents in the quarter panel where the studs kissed the quarter panel when the rear shifted.
Ouch.
Okay. It's like, that car was fun, but it's nothing special. So it was just a beater. So it's not like I was like, oh my god, heartbroken because it had the most perfect paint on it. No, it was hot rod flat black.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's so funny because of all the people that were upset about that video, because I did it in the Capri, right? And it actually is interesting of how different the three cars are to each other. Because yes, they're all different configurations too. Like my convertible, the heaviest car, oddly enough, has the best traction. In the wintertime. That's because all the convertible top stuff is right there.
Yeah, you got all that weight over the rear tires.
Right, so it makes a difference. Compared to the hatchback has a little bit more weight over the ass end because the hatch itself is 150 pounds heavier than my notchback. The notchback has nothing. They are so light on the ass end.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've had my car on the scales now. It's gonna weigh a little more now because of the 8.8 rear end, but it's not much of a difference. It might be an extra 10 pounds or so.
Right.
But it was 2,680 pounds when I got it weighed out, and just super super light. But if I did the same thing with that Capri, it's probably closer to 2,900 pounds, and I think the convertible is probably closer to 3,200 pounds. So even all three, the same vehicle, but different configurations and different weights, makes a huge difference. I know that, because yeah, oddly enough, when you actually have the less weight you have in the winter, the better, but you want all of your weight over the drive tires. And that's why, at least a lot of people will say, well, hey, front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive is the best. I mean, four-wheel drive, if you have one, great. That's fantastic for winter, you know. Don't really have to worry too much about it. But when it comes to, say, like, the front-wheel drive and whatever, to a certain degree, they're better, but they're also worse than a rear-wheel drive when it comes to traction. When you're just setting off and whatever else and like getting stuck and stuff like that,
Right.
your front wheel drive is the best.
Yeah.
But when you're
I don't
actually
like
on the road,
what
it's
I don't
worse.
like about driving front-wheel drives in bad weather is the fact that when you lose traction, you lose everything.
Oh yeah,
You lose turning, you lose braking, you lose acceleration, you lose it all in one ghetto. And at least if I can't turn the car in a rear-wheel drive car and I know I'm going to hit something, I can always goose the throttle and hit it with the ass. You know,
yeah.
or whatever. I still have some maneuverability in a rear-wheel drive car to avoid a collision or to at least improve my chances of surviving said collision. You know, so I prefer a rear-wheel drive car because the other thing is where the rear-wheel drive car lacks the most is acceleration. What's the least thing you need in bad weather? You don't need to go fast. So I can as long as I can brake and steer, I could care less if I can get going quickly. You know, if I might have to, but I can feather the throttle. I can maneuver a rear-wheel drive car a lot better in bad weather than I can a front-wheel drive car. Not saying that the front-wheel drive isn't more, it's more of the fail-safety type of vehicle. You know,
yeah.
But to me, I prefer rear-wheel drive if I can't have four.
Yes, you know, like it's something that I was trying to show in the video as well because I came across a intersection that had a bunch of snow and ice and whatever else in it, and just to show like, hey, it does not take much for when you hit the throttle for it to spin.
Right.
So always make sure that if you're trying to get into traffic, that you have a wide berth, just in case you decide that the car decides, hey, I'm not going to get traction right now, and stuff like that. And I also recommended like people obviously get studded winter tires. I don't have studded winter tires. I wish I did.
Never did.
You know.
I've never had studded tires. I had snow ice tires on my car before. And in fact, if you ever see the end of this live stream or the end of any of my videos, that's what I cooked off in that ending scene. That was a used up set of winter tires that I completely baked. Because the one already had a hole in it. They were I couldn't reuse them. So we filled them up with air and we sent them out in style.
See, I'm gonna say with the one that I did, similar that way because they were just old winter tires. Oddly enough, they were because my car only came with 2 winter tires when I bought it,
Right.
and you know, not that you necessarily need winter tires on the front, but it's always nice to have just that extra traction to try and turn if you can. You know, because obviously, yeah, not drive tires. But anyway, so these actually decent tires. They were Pirelli tires, whatever else, but they were just really old tires. Because even when I mounted them on the car for the winter, because I only had them on for 2 seasons of winter, and yeah, they're starting to get a little dry rot and whatever else, and just like, yeah, you know what? At this point, I could maybe use these for this winter again, but meh, I have these better Nittos on the car, so screw it. You know.
Nitto is better Ninto winter tires or better as just better tires?
Better just compounded tires in general because they're both winter.
Better tires don't make better winter tires.
Yeah.
Sometimes cheap tires make better winter tires than nice tires do.
Oh, for sure. Because like yeah, just because it's kind of interesting because like Nitto is actually a fairly decent brand. They're not like the sexy brand like Pirelli or anything like that. But
Nitto is becoming very much the go-to brand now.
They're starting to, yeah. absolutely. Because it used to be like you go about 8 years ago or so, tires were just you you could buy them at Walmart, right? They started out as a very cheap sort of tire, but then they started to get better, and now like the winter tires I have, if you wanted to buy that set brand new, you're looking at probably around $500, which is not terrible considering they're only 14s, but um, you know, not too bad to be honest. And like I did not pay that for them because I got them used off a guy. They actually came off a caravan, so just mounted them on my steel wheels and away we went. And yeah, it was just one of those things of just any sort of winter driving, just make sure you're prepared for it.
Yeah. Oh.
Because like even in the video I recommended, if you happen to live in an area that like is very hilly, for example, yeah, have studded tires and have tire chains too, just in case.
No.
Because tire chains, if it's icy, will make it.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, the only reason we don't do that out here, too much of a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, like
is if you have studded or chain tires out here in PA, they have to come off within 24 hours of the snowfall, which means you're putting them on either in the snow, or you're putting them on the day before the snowstorm, and then you got to take them back off right away. So yeah, most of us don't have studded tires out here because again, it's too much. Most people don't have the ability to keep swapping them. Can't leave them on all winter.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like even here with the when there's usually a bunch of snow on the ground, whatever. But even like the other day, when the snow kind of melted, the roads were just wet. That was it, right? Mm-hmm. So having that is not a great idea. But the studded, because like I mentioned, like if you live in the city or whatever else like that, like in a more dense area, and especially where like say the plows don't always come through your spot, it's not a priority area, stuff like that. That's when I kind of mentioned that you probably should get studded tires.
Yeah.
But if you're out in the country like us, it's not as bad. Like with me, because at least I can, if I wanted to keep my tires on my car, I can year round. Not that I'm going to, because I have my really nice, fat meats and stuff like that for that thing. But
yeah, I haven't had specialty winter tires on any of our Kias. I used to have special winter tires that I put on the Nova. And the truck, that's the reason why I have the mud bogs on the truck, because they're great in the snow. None of them are great in the freaking ice. You just need to be careful.
Oh, exactly. Like, I mean, none of my cars are good in the ice either. And that's the interesting part, because like especially with modern vehicles, whatever else like that, they just help you out so much. Although some of that help can be a hindrance depending on what it decides it wants to do. But if you're not used to driving old cars like we are in conditions like that, it's a different story. You probably want to drive a newer car that has all those nanny aids to help you. Although up here it's interesting because people will actually, and I think that's what they did. Because my buddy got this 04 Grand Prix at an auction, and it says service, traction control system, and ABS. We look underneath, they unplugged it all, and I think I know why. It's because they were driving it in the wintertime. Because again, some of that stuff is nice, but some of it is actually not good.
Yeah, traction control in the green Kia, when we had it, I used to absolutely fucking hate it because it would slow the engine down. And the thing is, in a front wheel drive car, if you're trying to get unstuck, wheel speed is what you need, especially going up a hill. You got to have the wheel speed. And there were several times I got stuck going up a hill because the engine started slowing the wheels down, thinking that I needed to get more grip. Whereas, no, I needed the wheel speed to get up the hill. And so, yeah, it would choke itself. And then I'd go nowhere. And it was so frustrating. I wouldn't have had that issue in the Nova, and I barely drove the TA in the snow. I'll tell you what, there's a big difference in the TA. You're going to notice that a lot with your car. So, obviously, I've driven 2 muscle cars in the snow. The TA, which is a limited slip rear, and the Nova, which is open diff. The back end of that TA loved to step out so quick in the winter weather. The Nova was easy in the winter. It kind of just went. But yeah, you just even burped the throttle in the TA and it wanted to do a loopy loop.
Well, the thing though, at something that I have in favor of mine, even though it's, again, I put the limited slip in it, is it won't be quite as bad because the car just doesn't really have the power as much to, it will, don't get me wrong, you pit it, it will kick it sideways, obviously, but not like as much as your Trans Am did, like nowhere near as much torque, right? So
yeah, but then the Line 6 still put out a decent amount of torque. You don't have the get up and goes of the horsepowers, but those little inline 6 still have they're still peppy in the torque department.
It's only 180 foot-pounds of torque, maybe.
I don't know. Well, the Nova had more torque than that as far as its inline 6.
Yeah, it's a 250, not a 200. It also has a removable intake and stuff like that.
No, the intake and the intake and head were one unit. The exhaust bolted to the underside of the intake.
Oh, right, those are. I was trying to think of
the earlier 250s were separate intake and head.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But mine was the one piece head and intake, where the exhaust manifold bolted to the underside of it. Yeah, super pain in the ass and super fucking heavy.
Yeah, and that's one thing with my.
Not to mention, you gotta love that that nice hot exhaust heat soaking up into the bottom of the intake.
Oh yeah, it's great, isn't it? Like I love it, especially when when it decides to heat soak properly and like boil the fuel. That's fun.
Yeah, you can park it somewhere and then you can't start it again.
I've always started. That's the weird part. But when I'm actually driving, though, I feel it like kind of like hiccup and stuff like that because it's not.
When I had the inline 6 in that car, if you parked it somewhere after driving it hard, you would be. It would not be as easy to start again.
See, I think the only way that mine isn't so bad for that is because I don't have the fan shroud on it. So the fan is always blowing on those lines. So it's not as bad. Like, it's still not great.
Well, but not having a fan shroud on it is going to cause you to run warmer in general, though.
To be fair, my car didn't come with a fan shroud.
From factory? Or just you didn't?
From the factory, it had literally. I still have it. It's in the car. Just I haven't mounted it back up because there's no reason to. It's this big by that, and it says caution fan on it. That's it.
Oh, so you just have, it's not a fan shroud. You just have, it's just it's the part that holds the top of the radiator up against the
No, it's not even that. It's detachable.
Oh,
so the car. It was physically just there to be like, hey, don't stick your hand in the fan.
Oh, so it's not a fan shroud. It's a finger protector.
Exactly. And
it's a dumb shit. It's a dumb shit. What the hell do I want to call it? It's a
Well, actually, the funny thing is, when I was having the fuel pump issues with the car, when we finally got the thing running, my dad, not thinking, he's helped me a little bit on the car, whatever else. He knows there's no fan shroud on this car. He put his fingers right there and. Hurt his finger quite decently. I'm like, luckily it's a plastic blade. It's not that bad, but
not like mine where they're actually freaking. I have, on my Nova, which was what was on the TA before I took it off this time, but I have one of those the flex fans. I had a 6-blade flex fan on that, with like the 4-inch wide freaking blade fan blades.
Yeah. Well, see, this one also.
No. I lied. No. My 4-blade, my 4 or 5 blade was the longer ones. The 6 blade one, which is the one that I had on the TA now, that one has the shorter ones.
Fair enough. I was gonna say actually because on mine, like the inline six is interesting because I haven't seen too many fan setups like that one because it's just your typical 4 blade, but there's no clutch on it. It's just the fan that's going all the time. And which that might help some things, but it's going to like draw more power and stuff like that, right? Like I thought about swapping it for a clutch fan or just doing away with it entirely and going electric. Just not sure, what exactly I'm gonna do yet. It's probably going to end up being electric. Just because I can swap out that fan pretty easily, but with my oversized rad in the car, it's actually kind of a pain in the ass.
We were, I think me and Brad were talking. It's either me or Brad or somebody at work. We were talking about. So I'm converting my car over the dual electric fans. I was thinking about doing the mod where you cut the circles in the fan shroud and you put the piece of leather or rubber on the backside, so that way it'll pull air in, but it can't pull air from the engine into the radiator.
Yeah.
But also then sticking the factory fan shroud on the car and still hooking up the factory fan, so the actual manual fan. So that way I still have the electric fans. They're still working, but it'll still look like it's stock completely. Because obviously it'll look like the whole stock fan setup.
I get that. It
Or I
just
could just
seems
leave
kind
I
of
could put the fan shroud on there and just leave the fan off of it as well.
yeah, and see that's what I would probably end up doing because putting the mechanical fan back on there kind of defeats the purpose of having electric fan.
No, the electric fans are there so that way I have. You can see the TAs, they generally run hot. Okay, and when you're cruising down the road, it's fine. When you are stopped, which is when the mechanical fans don't work very well, is when the electric fans are going to work great.
Yeah. Oh no, I get like where the benefit of like the mechanical fan, but I was just thinking like I mean obviously it's gonna be a clutch fan, so it won't draw that much.
It's not a clutch fan.
Oh well then
it's a direct flex fan. It's been what's on the car since I put the engine in it.
Oh, see, in that case,
yes, but the thing is I didn't install the electric fans to keep it from robbing horsepower. That wasn't that car makes decent enough horsepower and enough freaking torque. That fan, it doesn't even care it's there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Actually, interesting. Actually, which Jeeps have the electric and manual fan? Just out of curiosity, because I've never actually heard of a factory setup.
Well, I mean, like the thing is that is actually kind of because okay, so a manual fan works great when the engine's got RPM. When you're cruising, when you are using the engine. The problem is as the engine slows down and you're not using the engine, the fan also slows down. It's a direct relation to the engine. So whenever you come to a stop at a light, or you're stuck in traffic, or you're in a parking lot, or whenever, when the car likes to get hot to begin with, because it's got no airflow coming in through the nose. So like you got double duty. Okay, so when you're cruising, you got air coming in through the nose, which is going to go through the radiator anyway. You got the puller fan on the front of the engine, also pulling air through the fan shroud and obviously through the radiator. But as soon as you stop, the only thing moving any air is the fan, and the other problem is the fan's not spinning nearly as fast anymore because you're not on the gas. So, whereas if you're cruising down the highway, the electric fans can be off because the engine's keeping itself cool, but yet it's still pulling air up over the engine, because that's the other thing. When the electric fans aren't on, it's not pulling air, any air into the car and over the engine. Because if also electric fans, they have this huge ass fan shroud that takes up most of the radiator space. So that way those electric fans can pull the air through. So the radiator is not going to push as you're not going to get as much airflow through the radiator and over the engine at cruise if the fans aren't on. Because all that space is being taken up by a flat sheet of metal with just 2 circular fan holes cut out of it. Whereas in a factory car, that whole radiator space is open to allow air to flow through it and over the engine. So there are benefits to both. And if I do keep a factory manual fan on it, plus the 2 electric fans, that manual fan will always be spinning as long as the engine is running. Whereas if the coolant drops below a certain temperature, the sniper will kick off the electric fans.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense for your application, come to think of it, with the the big old big block. Well, no. It's not a big block.
The other thing I could do is I could run one fan to always be on while the car is on. I can have the other fan kick on as soon as the temperature hits a certain point. But the problem with that is it's going to take longer for the engine to come up to temp if the one fan is always on. Because it's always going to be pulling air through the radiator. The engine will come up to temperature a lot faster if the electric fans are off.
Yeah, well, of course. That makes sense. Like, I'm not saying have them on all the time. No, I'd always say have them on some sort of a thermostat, right?
Well, yeah,
like,
the Sniper has its own. That's why that relay panel that I was doing, 2 of those relays in there are fan relays. I could run both of them off of one relay, but then they're either both on or both off.
Well, see, if I actually had the room under, like, unfortunately, because of that big ass rad I put in the car and how the inline 6, how
wide is your manual fan on your car? How close is it to the radiator? Like, how much space do you have between the front of the pulley? So you're the furthest distance of the pulley on the front that the fan is attached to. The distance to the radiator.
There's actually a decent amount of space. Like, you're probably looking at, let's see, from the front of the pulley to it, it's probably about that, give or take.
You easily could fit electric fans on the back side of the radiator. But you're saying is you couldn't run both the electric fan and a manual fan that way.
I'd have to go one or the other, right?
Well, at that point, then what you would do is you could have a push fan on the front side of the radiator, pushing air into the radiator, and then you could have your manual fan on the back side of the radiator, pulling air through.
I mean, the one thing is, not a big deal in that car, only because...
Well, it's an inline 6, it keeps cool anyway.
Inline 6, and it has a 2.25 inch 3-core aluminum rad. Yeah. Like, the only reason why I have any issues whatsoever with... Because anytime I go on the highway and then go to immediately idling, and like if I'm idling for more than, say, about a couple of minutes, you'll see that temp gauge creep up. And it's because I don't have a fan throughout. If I had a fan throughout, I wouldn't have that problem. But because I don't, is the reason why I have that problem. But that's not a big deal. I can regulate that fairly easily. Yeah. And it's just one of those deals, right? But again, that's not a big deal. And like my stock fan, like I could replace that fan as well with a better style fan. Because that stock one, it's missing a couple little chunks out of it and stuff like that too. Again, it's a old plastic, because I've thought about doing I have actually, because on 4-cylinder and V6 cars, they could actually have a factory electric fan, which are actually, they're decent fans. They're not anywhere near as good as what the modern fans are. But they come in their own little, because actually I have one in the shed. They come with their own little shroud around the fan, and it's perfect. Right. And they bolt directly to, you have to have specific mounts, but I have those mounts, directly to the mounts, and then it's for sort of things off of it, and bam, you're done. But the only problem is, it's actually a little, I'd have to like bend those rods or whatever inward so that I could actually fit it, because there's actually not enough room with that big rad in it for that.
Yeah. The other problem is you get too close to the fan, then it doesn't work as well if there's not enough space between the radiator and the fan. No Parts Garage says the Cherokees with the V8s are the ones that have the electric fan and the manual fan.
Yeah, see that, and I'm curious because
I don't know if he's still in that,
Cherokees.
because I did see the
Yeah, it's
YouTube
only
guy.
currently showing 2 people, so like, and the one thing is about that, because I wonder which V8 Cherokees, like,
They only
because
came with
they've
one
had
V8.
yeah, well, they've had a few different V8s in those cars, right? Like they had the 5.2, the 5.9, the 4.7, the
When did
5.7
they have a
Hemi, the
5.9 in a
6.1, the
Cherokee? Because that's
6.4.
the same engine that's in my car, in my truck.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
could get a
360.
5.9 in a Cherokee. Well, sorry. Because if you talk
That's a
about
big engine
Cherokee,
for a
actually,
Cherokee.
yeah, well, he meant to say Grand Cherokee, because no Cherokee had a V8.
Yeah, they did. The Cherokee
No,
Classics had a V8.
Cherokee Classic.
The same ones that I had.
I
The
can't remember
original
yours.
Cherokees. The original Cherokees came
Oh,
with
okay,
V8s.
those, yes.
They made them all the way up until like almost 2000.
Okay, he mentions it's the 5.2.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
so the
5.2 is the
318.
318, which came standard in most small trucks. The
Yeah,
5.9, which is the 360, were normally in full-size trucks.
yeah, you could get him in the Cherokee. Actually, there was one year, like in the Grand Cherokee in 1998, the Grand Cherokee Limited had a
See, I
5.9
don't
in it.
consider the Grand Cherokee a Cherokee. It's totally different.
Well, the one thing is, if you're only considering the AMC Cherokee,
No.
then
Jeep, not AMC, but Jeep, when Mopar owned Jeep, they produced that Cherokee all the way up. They just called it the Cherokee Classic. They
yeah,
produced that all the way up until like very, very recently.
yeah, the Cherokee Classic, if you're talking about the super square one that they made like in the 80s,
They
and it was
made them all
the
the way up
smaller one,
until almost into the 2000s.
they did, yeah, but the best that thing could have was the 4-loop.
No, they came with V8s.
Look this up.
They came with V8s. Maybe not in Canada. They did it down here. You can get with the 4-cylinder, the inline 6, and a V8.
Yep.
I'm just trying to remember.
It wasn't a big V8, but it was a V8.
Yeah, because the only ones that I thought that had the V8 was the Grand Cherokee that started in, what was it, 96?
They had the regular, the Jeep, the original Jeep Cherokee body style had V8s in them.
Yeah, once this computer loads, because it's the slowest computer
I
on the
had
planet.
several friends that had them. I only had the inline 6 one, but I only owned one. And plus, I had ran into plenty of them in the junkyard with V8s in them. You know, when you're specifically looking for an inline 6 part and all you're coming across is V8 freaking Cherokees, it gets annoying.
Yeah, this thing's gonna freaking load. Oh my god.
But he was talking about the Grand Cherokee all-wheel drive.
Okay. Yeah, see, and that's... I'm
But
surprised those had, like, dual fan like that. Because I'm used to
the Grand Cherokees were all about freaking luxury and freaking technology and bullshit like that, which made them crappy freaking off-roading brakes. That was what was great about the freaking classic Cherokees, was they didn't have all that shit in them, and you could, you know, it wasn't
just to
hard
confirm,
to take them off-road.
You're talking about the XJ Cherokee, right? The one that started from 84 to 2001?
What, the what? It'd be
The
the XJ.
XJ Cherokee.
Yeah, the XJ.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, again, yes, the Grand Cherokee is a Cherokee by name, but by spirit it was not. The Grand
But
Cherokee.
hey,
The Grand Cherokee was a posh vehicle. That's what it was.
yeah, I will say though, the '98 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with the 5.9, it actually was the fastest production SUV right up
It's not much different
until
than the Trackhawk is today. It is outside of the norm.
oh, for sure.
So, I mean, again, that's like saying, okay, the Trackhawk is whatever. It's yes, it's a Jeep body, and that's also saying like the SRT freaking V10 Viper fucking Dodge Rams or whatever. Again, it's like it's yes, technically it's a Ram, but it's not. It's not. You know what I mean? It's a different animal. It's like an outside the norm. It's a special release vehicle. It's not the average which you would find in a dealership.
Because the one thing is, I'm just trying to find this information online because everything I'm finding only says the four banger or the inline six. Although I saw something in there that said they could come with a 2.8 V6 from a GM. I'm going, when the hell did they do that? But
I don't know. I had several friends that had V8 freaking Cherokees, so
I'm just trying to think. Maybe it was the. I wonder if it was the Sport. Yeah, everything. As soon as I put Cherokee Classic V8, everything is coming up with LS. The people have LS swapped them. Yeah, like if you can find that, I'd just be curious. That's all.
I'm
Because like
looking. I'm looking.
I just can't find it.
So 84 to 96, 2.5, the 2.8, the 2.1 diesel, 4.0, 2.55 diesel. Okay, that's up to 2000.
Because they went from '84 to 2001.
All right. I don't know. I mean, I know that several of them had Mopar V8s in them.
Unless people swapped them in,
They might have.
which you
But it
know,
had to have been
and
very early because it definitely was not. It didn't look like it was a. I don't know. I had an 89. It had the inline six in it, high output.
yeah, see, like because then I only know of the Grand Cherokee having
Maybe
the
it is a
V8 in it.
V6.
Because even like, well, because even
84
after
to 86 had the 2.8 V6 that was a GM. It was the Chevrolet LR2.
yeah, which I've never seen that engine in it, but bear in mind that was
That was
not
a 2-year
a
period.
good engine from
So,
GM.
yeah, it's a 2-year period.
Well, like there was a just like some of the rarest Dakotas you'll ever find. Specifically, second gen Dakotas, you could actually get them with a 2.5 AMC engine, which is just not great for those. They were awful because they work fine if you put it in a Wrangler. Oh yeah, they'll last forever because the thing doesn't weigh anything and it's not doing anything super harsh.
Right.
But as soon as you put it in a Dakota that's actually like a proper truck, it just blew up all the time. It's hilarious.
4.0 was a 242, and the high output made 190 horsepower and 225 foot-pounds of torque. Made one more torque than the regular engine, but it made 20. No, 3. Made 13 more horsepower.
I haven't seen anybody do that with a 65 Mustang. I've seen Honda swaps in old Mustangs, like K20s and stuff like that, but never actually as a front wheel drive. They usually convert it to rear wheel drive.
I like Demolition Ranch's diesel swapped Ranchero with the Mustang front end.
Interesting.
It looks like a Shelby Mustang with a bed, and it's got a diesel engine in it.
Yeah, I'm just assuming it was a Falcon Ranchero that they started.
I don't know. He bought it already with the Mustang Ranchero conversion. He ripped out the engine that was in it and threw in a turbo diesel.
I don't know how that went in, but I'm happy. Yay! Yeah, because actually it's interesting because the Honda Swerves are becoming very popular to do in old Mustangs.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like, I understand, okay, from efficiency and actually the size of them and how little they weigh, I get it. But it's just so weird.
Well, Cooper Borghetti or whatever his name is, he's part of like the Cletus McFarland kind of crew. He's got that Catfish Camaro with the freaking, was it a 2JZ in it? He's got a Japanese engine in it.
Yeah, but that's something you expect though. Like from when it comes to, hey, when you think of performance in Japan, you think of a 2J.
I think it's. I don't quote me on. I don't know if it's. I just know that it's a Japanese engine. It's turbocharged and it's in a Camaro.
Do
fourth
you
gen
know
Camaro.
if it's an inline six?
I don't know. I don't follow his channel as much. I've just seen it here and
Fair
there. And I think it's got Mustang rims on it. I think it's got Mustang 5-spokes on it.
That's weird because they're not the same pull pattern.
I don't know. The car's already a Frankenstein.
Oh no, I get that. Like,
so if
it's
he's
just...
got a Ford rear end underneath of the back, it doesn't take much to put freaking Ford come on brain, spindles or whatever on the front.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you're already doing something hodgepodge and wild. Like, yeah, it's not as surprising, I suppose. It's just, yeah, because like, interestingly, and it's kind of weird because for the longest time, excluding like LS swaps, although actually people are starting to get disdain with LS swaps and box bodies as well.
It's
but
it's so overdone. And
well, people are actually preferring now if you actually stick with the old 302 in it, right?
Everything goes
or
in cycles.
Yeah, or do it fun, or because now it keeps them in groups and there's not really to hate on them. Is actually like a K20 swap in it, which is so weird of a swap. But people do them, and I get why, because again, it's just how much power you can actually make out of a K20 with just turbocharging it. You can push those engines to about 500-600 horsepower, which for a little 2-liter is pretty good to get.
Well, that's the thing is, yeah. But then again, it's people focusing on horsepower and not torque. They're going to make a lot of freaking horsepower because they're small. The rotating mass is small. They're going to spool up quickly. You know, that's why. But they're going to make shit for torque.
Well, and I think a lot of people that are doing it are not. They're okay with not having the torque. They want kind of that high revving engine with the horsepower, is my guess. And which is fine. It's not my thing, but at least they're not like saying, "Hey, let's go swap a rotary into one." That'd be interesting. But the rotaries make less torque than the Honda motors do. Like, they're even worse for them.
Yeah, but you stack them.
You can. That's true.
That's how you. Okay, you want to know how you have fun with a rotary? You stack them together. So you end up with like a 4 or 6 cylinder fucking rotary. Those things will power a tank. In fact, they did.
Well,
they've had rotary powered tanks where they were like 6 or 7 fucking engines stacked together, and they have no rev limit. The more fuel and air you feed them, the faster they go. And obviously, the more you stack, the more you're multiplying torque. So,
yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard of that because the
we were talking about that back when I was in high school.
And by the way, it's not cylinders; it's rotors, right?
They're still cylinders. It's still a cylinder.
Kind of.
Rotor is okay. So that would be like saying an engine doesn't have cylinders; it has pistons. The rotor is the piston. The cylinder is the chamber that it rotates in.
Yeah, that's true.
So yes, it is multiple cylinders.
Yeah,
housing
like
a single rotor in each one.
yeah, that's true. Well, like, and like the interesting part is of how they actually measure how big a rotary is because like in a rotary, with their little the rotary is kind of like they call it like the angry Dorito,
It
right?
should
Because it kind
be,
of looks like a Dorito. But the
yeah.
thing is, how they measure it out, they should be timesing it by 3
Mm-mm.
actually for the total volume because they only pick one little spot of
Because
that area.
yes, it's three-sided, but only one of them is a combustion chamber.
I
It
And
doesn't fire on all three sides.
yeah, actually
So
that does make sense.
how they have to measure it is they measure, it's called, just like a regular engine, is displacement. So it's how much air does it displace per, in the cylinder. So what you do is you take how much air it can pull in and how much air it can push out. That's displacement. It's just easier to figure out with a normal conventional engine, because
That's true.
displacement is the obviously the width of the bore versus the length of the stroke. That's your displacement. You don't have to do any fancy math because you're not dealing with an odd shaped chamber, whereas a rotary has a really odd shaped chamber. So
Yeah, Jesse just actually confirmed what I had said. It fires 3 times per revolution, so actually no, they do it incorrectly.
yeah,
The measurement,
whatever.
like it, and that's the one thing they've always done that incorrectly. The measurement, because technically any of those rotaries, it's actually times 3, but like it's still a small space, but it's how much you can fit in there, right? For and stuff like that. Like at least I'm pretty sure. Oh, he actually retracted it. I thought it didn't work, but maybe not. I'm trying to remember because I've never actually played with a rotary. I've wanted to. I really want to play with them because they're just so much fun, and the fact that like from the factory they actually tell you for rotary maintenance that you should redline this thing once a day, which is fantastic to think about that. You know, no other engine do they tell you to do that.
A rotary.
Yeah.
All right, so I just did a googly Google. A rotary displacement is figured using one rotor face in one complete revolution, then multiplied by 2. This only leaves a total for 2 combustion chambers through, though, and the rotary has 6. Since the volume of a 13B rotary is rated at 1.3 liters, only 2 combustion chambers, it really adds up to be a 3.9 liter.
Yeah. See, like I was mentioning, right? And so it is just interestingly of how they do it, right? That's all. It's always been so weird. Um, but they're a fascinating little engine, and
Now, Japanda Tuning has a "You're wrong about rotary engine displacement," um, and his thumbnail says 1.3 question, 2.6 question. So I don't know. I'll have to watch that later. Now you've got me freaking.
yeah, because like damn it. Yeah, that's just just one of those things that they're so weird of how they measure out displacement of them, like, and because like the rotary, it's so weird because of actual like proper moving parts. There actually isn't that many, um,
The
and
most
they're
the
very
most
very
part that
simple.
the most part that fails on them is the reeds that separate the chambers and that let the air and fuel and stuff in.
Yeah, the apex seals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think he was redesigning a new one. Like, I mean, this was years ago I saw this, so I don't know if it ever came out. But they were developing a new rotary engine that was supposed to reduce those failure points and make the engine seal better, which would also do twofold. It would help with fuel mileage, and it would also increase horsepower.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like,
but I don't
that
know
would...
if it ever came to fruition or if they dropped it because they dropped the RX.
Well, Mazda, it's interesting because they actually are working on another rotary, but it's not in the way that you think, because they're actually using a rotary as a hybrid power unit in an SUV, which is weird. This is what they've kind of talked about, of doing it that way, which I don't know why you do it that way, but other than for just overall space, is my guess, and weight, to have, instead of a regular style piston engine as your hybrid power unit there, right? Have that. So that's the only thing I can think of. But the one thing is, though, like, Mazda experimented actually with the rotary, and in the RX-8 in particular, because the RX-8 has the worst reputation for breaking out of any of the rotaries. And it's only because people didn't know how to take care of them compared to other rotaries. Granted, they aren't as strong of a 13B as the RX-7, this is true, but the one thing is, where Mazda failed in the marketing of it, because they marketed it as a sort of family fun sports car, where the other ones were not. They were just sports cars that were very expensive. So people didn't really read through the owner's manuals and stuff like that to learn the maintenance schedules and stuff like that. Because again, it's totally
different than
opposite of everything you've ever known is different in a rotary. Because also, like, rotaries physically burn oil. That's what they do, because they're a two-stroke. So, and people don't realize that either, so that tends to grenade them pretty quick.
You think?
Well, and also, they were never, like, the rotary wasn't really designed to be at, like, 2,500 RPM shifting. It's designed to be at, like, 7,000 RPM shifting. Right? So, that's why they,
they're a high revving engine. They're not they're like a Ferrari or a...
Yeah. Well, like, the difference is, though, with the Ferraris and stuff like that is, because it's a regular piston engine, it still gets the lubrication it needs at the lower RPMs. The rotaries don't. So that's why they recommend, actually, that you redline it every day. You drive it.
Clean it out.
Yeah, and then also, like, something, because I actually asked a guy that he dailies an RX-8, and it's still on its original engine with no rebuild, and he claims it has over 280,000 miles on it. I'm going, how'd you pull that off? Because usually at around 100,000 miles, the apex seals just go. That's when they go.
Right.
So, and he told me, like, yeah, he bought it new, and he, of course, does the rev out thing every day. He drives it in a little hard, but then also, when he comes to a complete stop, and if he's, like, going to be stopped for more than a few hours, he will actually take it just above the red line as he's parked, and then slowly let off the throttle. And he says it takes him about a minute and a half or so.
Okay.
And then goes back to idle, lets it idle for another about 10 or 15 seconds, then shuts it off. Just so that it gets that extra lubrication that it needs. It's just wild to think about.
It is.
Like, I really, really want to play with one. But
I wanted to play with one when I was back in tech school, and then I got the Caddy engine, and then it became, well, how can I bore and stroke this Caddy engine? Cause something that they didn't fucking do. And we went through, this ancient device called the PAW catalog that they no longer have anymore, which literally has all the pistons, all the engine parts, but they're not categorized like stuff is today, where it's, oh, what's your engine make, model, whatever. Everything was categorized by dimension. So when you went through this, you didn't look up, I have a Chevy 350, da 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 da. You looked up what was your piston diameter, what was your piston skirt length, what was your, all of the dimensions that you have, and that's how you found parts. So if I knew that my Cadillac engine was a certain dimension or whatever, and that I wanted to make a Frankenstein, you know, crank and piston and rod and whatever, I went through and we found a piston that if I were to bore it out 60 over, and if I wanted to, and I found a crank that would work in that engine that had a longer throw than the stock crank, and then we found a connecting rod that was shorter to make up that difference in the throw, so that way I didn't send the piston out through the top of the head. And we I don't remember what the combination, we had it written down at one point, but obviously I don't have the engine anymore, I don't have any of that paperwork anymore, but we had found a piston, rod, and crank combination that would work in that engine to bore and stroke out a Caddy 500 more than it already is.
Cool.
It would have been nasty. And
yeah, well, the only thing that I'd be concerned about with, because the CAD 500 motors have this problem, is the oiling systems in them, with how small the oil journals are.
Right. You don't use the stock oil journals.
Yeah, which, I'm curious.
You make your own oil galleries out of pipe. They've already, like, if you do research on these Caddy engines, and as far as a hot rodding standpoint, there's a whole thing about where to drill, where to tap, thread in a pipe. You have those pipe go to certain places with squirters, and there's a whole setup involved in those. Not to mention, the biggest issues with those Caddy engines is the lifters and rockers, and the way that they're set up. And I already had the thing in place to fix that, which is a single length rocker shaft, goes from one side of the head to the other, and the rockers are permanently affixed to that shaft with nylon locking rings that keep the rockers from walking side to side. Because the stock style setup is a T pedestal with little metal clips that hold the rockers from coming off the T pedestals. Well, at high RPMs, the rockers walk right off of the T pedestal.
That's true. I have heard that, and that's one of.
So, I had 180 pound. I think it was 180 pound lifters, valve springs on it. I had the GM style. I got away from the hard plastic style, which is what the Cadillacs use as far as the valve seals. I had GM style soft seals at the bottom of the valve. The valves on those heads that I did, they had a 3-angle valve job on every single one. I had ported and polished the whole head. I think it was 180. I could stand on these valve springs and not move them. A single valve string would take my whole body weight without compressing. So I had beefed up valve springs on it. I had obviously the aftermarket rocker shaft assemblies, and obviously I didn't do anything with the push rods or anything because I didn't assemble the whole engine. My project for school was just the cylinder heads, so we decked out the cylinder heads. The rest of the engine I was going to do later, but I never got around to it before I lost the engine. But yeah, that thing should have made anywhere from 600 to 800 horsepower and over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque on pump gas. Not naturally aspirated, not turbocharged, no power adders, just engine.
Yeah.
But granted, it would have still only revved up to like 5,000 RPM.
Yeah, that's the only problem with them, is that you can't really get them to rev high at all. But yeah, cool though, right?
But 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, man, you really need to rev that thing that high?
I mean,
just
it's
with
fun,
today's,
but
well, you
yeah.
think about it, with today's transmissions, with the overdrive units that you can get, you wouldn't need to rev it up real high.
I'm just thinking if you decided now, not that that's a good race application
Oh no, it
engine
was not.
as
It was not going to be one, but yeah.
yeah, but
People have used
that's
it
what
for
I mean,
drag
right?
racing. People have used them for drag racing.
But,
They
oh,
they
I
they
know.
are no slouch.
Yeah, like well,
Mine would have
because
been an off-road-ish application. I was the original design. The original intent for that engine was either to be in my Nova, or I wanted to throw it into the bed of an El Camino backwards. So front of the engine would be at the tailgate, into a transfer case, down to four-wheel drive, and a lifted El Camino. And I'm not talking like the late '80s Elcos. I'm talking about the late '60s Elcos.
yeah, I figured you were.
And
That's
then for
huh.
street legal use, so I could drive it on the street, you just pop the pop cap on it. You pop the pop cap on it, and it's legal in PA because it's got a hood. It's got a hood on it. You can't drive. You couldn't drive that in PA with the cap off of it because it would be open hood. You're not allowed to open hood in PA. Has to have a hood on it.
Fair enough.
So
Yeah.
you just throw the truck cap on it, and boom, there you go. It's got a hood.
Yeah. See, I live here in Alberta. We don't have that rule.
Yeah, well,
Or if
I
that
had to
is a
work within.
rule,
I had to work
cops
within the
don't care.
rules. I had to work within the rules that I had. And you
Yeah,
can't tell me that
that's
wouldn't
fair.
be nasty to have a freaking big. And I could even blow the V8 at that point. You could put a freaking supercharger on the top of it.
Yeah, well, like, well, because there was actually, and I wanted it so bad, but I did not have the money for it, and I could not come up with the money. There was a guy selling a almost a cooler version of the Maserati from Roadkill,
Okay.
because same thing except for it's a Ford Courier, but literally the Ford Courier is the Mazda pickup truck, right? Had the CAD 500 engine back there instead of an old 455.
Yeah. Same basic
Uh,
difference.
basically, but it's still
They're similar
I,
but
I
different. You know,
yeah,
obviously all three of them had their own. You know, the Pontiac, the Olds, the Caddy.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, for sure. Like I know
the
it's
only good thing
same
is that the Cadillac, I think, still bolts up to the standard GM transmission bolt pattern. I'm not sure if it
they
uses the Buick Pontiac Olds bolt pattern or not.
I don't
I
know
had a
for
Turbo
sure.
400 for it. I had a Turbo 400 long shaft, which when I tell them it came out of a Cadillac Eldorado. I think it came out of it isn't an Eldorado or a Fleetwood, but it
It
was
probably would have been a Fleetwood because the Eldorados had, I think they called it the TH200, I think, which was their front wheel drive
yeah.
application.
There's a Turbo 400 long shaft, so they had the 12-inch long tail.
Yeah, that would have been, especially with the long shaft on it. I think that would have had to have been
I
the
don't know.
Eldorado,
I just
or
know
not Eldorado. I should
I
say the
never
Fleetwood.
saw it in the car.
Yeah,
The engine, I got it after the engine was pulled out of the car. It was sitting behind somebody's barn in a tarp. Because the car itself wrapped itself around. Well, yeah, it wrapped itself around a telephone pole. So the car was totaled. The engine was pulled out of the car. When I got the car, it had a bunch of, I don't know if they were cherry seeds, but they're little round seeds that were only maybe like little, like 3/16 of an inch in diameter. Most of them were split open all over the top of the engine when I got it. You definitely tell the engine was sitting around for a while. Uh, I don't know if I have many pictures of that engine anymore. I think I have one of it sitting. I used to have one of it sitting in my living room with a glass tabletop on top of it. Because I used to I needed somewhere to store it, and where better to store it than in your living room.
Of course.
And if it's in your living room, it might as well be functional. So I had a square piece of glass that I threw between the valve covers. The whole engine was assembled, minus the guts. You know, the pistons, the crank, the cam, all of that stuff was in a different location. But the cylinder heads were on the block, the intake was on the block, and the valve covers were on it. And it was just sitting on the floor on a piece of wood with everything else assembled on it. You know, all the main outside pieces were assembled, and I had a piece of glass that sat between the valve covers. It's a coffee table.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of funny because like you couldn't have picked something bigger, for that. Like,
What?
just.
I need the object more was I needed somewhere to put the engine.
Oh no, I get it. I was being sarcastic.
So I needed somewhere to put it. I didn't have a garage. I didn't have a basement, and I wasn't lugging this thing up 3 flights of stairs to the attic. So where am I putting it? It came in the house. Well, the thing is I brought it to the house in the back of the Nova. It was in the trunk of the Nova. 2 of us picked this sucker up out of the back of the Nova, and we walked it into the house. We sat it down into the living room and both looked at each other, because I looked at the stairs, because that's where we were storing all the stuff that wasn't being used. I looked at the stairs because I was like, no way I'm fucking taking this thing all the way up to the freaking attic. And I'm looking around, I'm like, just stuff it over there for now. We put it on a piece of wood. It was like a piece of plywood. And so that way it'd slide around on the floor easy. And I kind of just shoved it over in the corner. And then we brought in all the rest of the stuff, and that stuff would fit in the closet that was down on the first floor. So we threw that stuff in the closet. And I'm sitting there, and I'm drinking a beer the one night, and I'm looking around, I'm looking at this thing just chilling in my freaking living room on the fucking floor. And I'm like, I just looked at it, and I went over, and I grabbed one of the cylinder heads out of the closet, and I threw it on there. Grabbed the other cylinder head, threw that on there. No bolts or nothing, just right up on the locating pins. That was it. Threw the intake on it and the valve covers, and I looked at it, I was like, well, that's pretty fucking cool. And, I just grabbed I had a crappy end table. I took the glass out of it and threw it over top of the valve covers, and I'm like, well, I like that better than the crappy end table. And so I did it. And that's also at the time that I ended up with those 20, I think they're 24s. 22-inch rims, but I think they're like 24 or 26-inch tall tires. They're truck tires. They're low profiles, but they were like 22-inch rims. And I had picked up a set of those. They were in the back lot at my work that I worked at, because I had to clean out that whole back lot. We had to get rid of all the garbage that was in that lot, and we had to weed whack it and clean it up and make it look nice, because the township was complaining, because people were dumping their garbage in there. And there was these 2 looked perfectly fine. They weren't. They had somebody had stabbed the sidewalls. But other than that, Fred was almost brand new. They looked great. So I took them home, cleaned them up, and I took a piece of 24-inch round, like a tabletop blank, and I stained it and cleared it and sat it down where the rim would go. Coffee table. Put 2 of them next to each other. Put one of those tabletops in each one of the centers. Had a coffee table. I'm a guy. I'm a bachelor. I didn't have any girlfriends. This was my pad. Fuck it. It was cheaper than going to buy a fucking coffee table.
What, you think me of all people is gonna judge you for that?
No, I wasn't saying judging. I wasn't saying, but But yeah, so I use the car tires with the wooden tabletops as my, and then the cool thing is you lift the tabletop, right? All your shoes or anything you didn't want laying all over the floor making it look like a mess, you just lift up the tabletop and you put everything inside. It was a cubby hole. It's storage.
That's funny.
I still have them. They're in technically right now. Those 2 tires are still with me. They're inside the Nova down in Lancaster. I have to replace the tabletops for the 3rd time. But yeah, I still have them. I think I'm going to use them out in the garage for something. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if I clear out the other side of the garage and make a little lounge space, maybe I'll put them over there. Or I might use them in here. I don't know. I might have them somewhere, like maybe back here, take this table out and put them back here and stack them on top of each other, and then put a tabletop on them. But yeah, I still have them. I've had them since I moved out of my mom's house. I've had these tires, and they have gone with me. I did lose one tire that I had that I wish I didn't. I had a Jeff Gordon tire that was used in a race, and I no longer have that. It disappeared along with most of my other possessions like 6 years ago. Anything that wasn't in a storage unit that I owned.
Yeah, that's always
So my whole house
sad when that happens.
my whole house got cleaned out. My house got cleaned out, and I lost the storage unit that we had the rest of our stuff in. So lost everything. But yeah, so like I have a few things. That's where I lost the Cadillac engine. It was in the storage unit. So lost that, lost all my Jeff Gordon diecast, lost all my models, lost all my anything that I had from my childhood, all gone. Hello, Scarlet Vet. Hello. Nice name. I don't know where it came from. We've had a couple new people in here. I don't remember No Parts. But thank you for joining. Yeah. Hopefully you guys hit the like button. I mean, that's really important. You need to hit that like button. Like button and sharing. You would not believe how important those things are.
It's true. They are. Like, and unfortunately,
especially for a live stream.
Yeah. Like honestly, I was like lately my live streams have actually been doing pretty good.
Well, my last 3 have been absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Brad was here for the last one. We had like nobody in here. We had an awesome discussion. We had a great actual like communication live stream up on screen, but the chat was absolutely garbage. It was dead.
See, and that's something actually, because like whenever I go up to Edmonton, I usually do a live stream. Not the entire way up, but we'll do a live stream, and sometimes I'll even take the long way too, where it's just nicer roads and stuff like that, better scenery for people to look at.
Yeah. I want to say something before, Scarlett, if you've never been in our live stream before, these live streams are very much chat driven. So you guys got a topic you want to talk about, or you want to add to the conversation we're having up on screen, please be very active in the chat. Share with your friends. The more people we get in here, the more interesting the topics and the conversation becomes. And we're here every Saturday. So, all right, go ahead, Kat.
I am just going to guess, because her name is Scarlet Vet. Says 2002 C5 Corvette owner here. I'm just going to take a wild stab at this red.
Okay, I was gonna say, because just because it says Scarlet Vet does not mean that it's a female. It could be talking that the car is Scarlet.
Oh, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't gonna insinuate that they're a female. Yeah. I didn't do that.
And we have no shame whether you're male, female. I don't care what you are. If you're
an
intelligent being and you enjoy cars, you are more than welcome. And you are correct. What is that? Is that do you get 100 NOVAtazz points for being correct? Not that that's going to do you much good anyway.
It doesn't help me hardly.
That doesn't even do a drop in your bucket.
Nope, not even the slightest. It's Raymond. I don't.
Oh. No, I know who it is. This is my buddy.
Oh, there you go.
This is the guy that I used. No, you wouldn't even know. I don't think he's been on my channel. All right, so this gentleman here, when I met him, he's helped out a lot. And in fact, actually, Brad, your dad knows who Raymond is. Originally he had a GNX or a Grand National. He had a Grand National. And he ended up losing that, and he ended up picking up I think a GTA, 3rd gen GTA. And I do believe he was going to, or did swap a Grand National engine in it. So he did the turbo V6 swap. Yeah, he said it was an 87. I do believe since then, I don't know if he got rid of the GTA, but I know he has a Corvette he picked up like a year or two ago. I think it was 2 years ago now. So I think it was right around COVID time that it hit that he got the Corvette.
That's such an interesting swap for that.
Yep, he did. He sold it. It was really nice.
Yeah.
We had him on the live stream way back. He was up here on screen with us for a while when he was doing the GTA.
Oh yeah, see, like, but that's cool. It like I always like the 3.8 Buick engine, especially with the turbocharger, and
He had the whole
it's
setup.
just, well, it is kind of interesting, and people don't really know this as much.
But I think that engine did end up in a Firebird anyway.
Well, that engine could actually be stock in a Firebird, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
you could get the 3.8 turbo. It's very rare, but you could get it if you ordered the right package for it and stuff like that. But they weren't as fast as the Grand National ones.
So he had an 88 TTA.
Yeah, I'm reading. I can see chat.
I don't know who can see chat and who can anymore because you guys flip back and forth. I forgot you're not out in the car, so you can see the chat.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was 88. The only year for the 3.8. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. See, I couldn't remember when they did it because I knew it was actually a very respectable performer and everything. And I guess it would have been the final send off for the 3.8 turbo.
The other thing is, this is the gentleman that saved my car out of Reading. So when I was in Reading, PA, and we did the engine swap, and I got that orange sticker on it, it was at this gentleman's house that we went and stored the TA at. So we drug it all the way down to his house, and it was parked in front of his house when that snowstorm hit. And we had to move the car. And that's when I lost the brakes on the green truck. The green Ram that I had. So this was his house. So he saved my car. Where did he go?
It says he was timed out by Streamlabs.
Oh, he posted a link and it killed. Wow, Streamlabs, really? All right, it just deleted everything. I don't know if I can undelete that though. Oh yes, no, I can view it, but I can't undelete it. I don't think.
I'm trying to see if I can.
If I add him as a moderator, it won't do that to him again.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't. But yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. It does. Streamlabs stops people from posting links. We had some really bad trolls in here, and I had to make the stuff a little stricter. And so yeah, let me see. I think YouTube already automatically blocks links, but I think I can keep this from doing stupid shit.
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that off.
If you have it set up like that, it will.
I think YouTube will block it and let moderators do it, but I had link protection blocked through Streamlabs, and I forgot Streamlabs becomes extra strict and just nails you to the wall.
Yeah, like that's so dumb. Like, why wouldn't it just be like, hey,
because it doesn't see the moderators. It's Streamlabs is set up that it is the moderator.
Yeah, but what I don't understand though is instead of deleting every single comment,
just delete that one.
Yeah.
Like no, that's something. It literally just shut him down. It timed him out. It timed him out for 1 second. Oh yeah. My car's been stored in my. I'm not sure how much you've seen of my channel recently, but Jean Grey is going under the knife. Has been going under the knife for almost a year now. We are EFI swapping Jean Grey, and she is getting a complete overhaul. All the wires were ripped out of her. She's getting a whole complete brand new harness. Yeah, he said. All right, so you follow when you can. Yes, it's gonna get a complete brand new harness. Swapping to electric fans, fuel injection. I went over the whole engine bay. We restored the dash completely. I mean, it looks absolutely freaking gorgeous. I can't wait to post that video, but I haven't even been able a chance to work on editing it because of how much time I spent at work this week. All right, hopefully see you next week. No parts. I talked to Dan here and there. He's the other guy. He's the guy that helped me tow the car down there. And it's his trailer that I've used to haul the cars around when I didn't have Chris. So yeah, these are the Chris, Raymond, Dan. They are the three people that have single-handedly saved my cars numerous times. Definitely owe a lot to these gentlemen.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now like, yeah, like he mentioned that he parked his C5 for the winter. I'm like, see now, my convertible is tentatively parked for the winter, but it's still outside, so it doesn't really make it that much of a difference.
He has the ability to. He's got.
Yeah, I wish I did.
It's not like he's not rich, whatever, but he's got another daily. He's got a beater. I think he's got a. I'm not sure if he still has the 05 V6 Mustang or not.
Ooh. 05.
I think it was an 05. But he had a V6 Mustang for a little while. I'm not sure if he still has it. All right, so he has a 2008 Civic now at least. I don't know what happened to the Mustang. He had a Mustang at one point.
Yeah, like, cause if it was an 05, that's the first year of the S197, and they had the 4 liters in there.
No, it wasn't it was the new, was 05 the new body style? When was the new body style?
Yes, 2005 was 2005.
The retro look.
Yeah, 2005.
Okay, yeah.
That was the very first year for it. Because basically, easy way, because, okay, SN95, that's the 90s ones, went from 94 to 2004. 2004.
Okay.
Was last year. And then the S197 went from 2005 to 2014. 14.
I knew it was
somewhere. And then there's the S550.
Then they went to the Aston Martin looking one. When that first came out, I could have sworn it looked like an Aston Martin Mustang to me. When it first came out, the freaking nose, everything.
Yeah, I don't see it, but
you had to have seen it. It was a front 3/4 shot before they had all of the aero and everything else on it that the nicer ones had. It looked like an Aston Martin. I think it was a Vantage. Yeah, it just I hated it, and then it grew on me because I like them now.
They're awesome, and they're very, very fun.
Well, the thing is you got from the Mustang that I liked, which was the first retro. I liked the way that one looked. I liked it a lot. And then they completely went away from the retro look. I mean, they kept the taillights and certain things to make, the front corner lights look like an old, 69 Mustang. And the taillights kind of looked like an old school Mustang. But the overall shape no longer looked like an old Mustang. Which is what I liked about the 05 to, would you say, 2014?
Yeah. Yeah. Because oddly enough, the early S197s from, 05 to, I think it was, about 08, fine, but they're kind of boring, actually. But once they got to, about 2012 to 2014,
when they started
that was the best looking that they got.
Yeah. Didn't they also start throwing the Coyotes? Did the Coyotes come in those at all, or was it just the next gen?
The Coyote came in 2012 or 13.
Yeah, so there was
in them, I think.
Which is probably what also spurred on the more aggressive styling.
A little bit. Well, even because when they did that more sort of aggressive styling, they brought back the Boss 302, which
is what I have. Well, I have this one. Now, granted, not full size, and I'm making a giant mess of my pile over here. You don't need to yell. It's only me, you stupid dog.
Yeah.
So I have
Raymond,
this one, but I am putting that new school Boss 302 in it. So classic car, modern engine.
That's cool. And because I am oddly enough, the more you talk about me, the more you'll realize that I'm into basically everything, and my knowledge is very immense.
Raymond, Katarina's Garage on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. She has some awesome cars. Go check her out.
Yeah. And I do videos because the interesting part about the videos that I do on YouTube is I don't really do editing. So
No.
everything is basically one shot. I don't edit anything down, and I just straight upload it. Which is kind of an interesting thing. So you see, if I screw up, you'll see that. Like, I have done some things like when I've reviewed cars, oddly enough, it happened in two, actually, I think in all three car reviews that I did, where because my little dash mount thing, it can mount to windshields, and the only problem is that if it's not perfectly clean and the windshield isn't perfectly clean, it will eventually fall off. You see that in those review videos that it's fallen off.
Where's that picture that I had of all of the fucking editing? There it is. Whereas, all right, so she does she just stitches. If she has multiple shots, she just stitches them together. Whereas, this was one of the dash videos. I think this was the second dash video. Maybe I think this was the second dash video.
Yeah, like I'm not afraid to put out hour-long videos though.
This was the editing for that video. This was cutting out all the ums, the does, the dead spaces. Also trying to make it so that way the footage doesn't look like I was chopping it all to hell. So a lot of the audio will be chopped, but the picture kind of kept going, and then I would pick a good spot to cut the picture. But yeah, no, that's all the stuff at the top. That's all the like the words and stuff that got put in the video. The stuff on the bottom is, well, I should say it over here. So the stuff at the top, that's all like words and stuff that I like, subtitles or whatever that I put in. The very bottom, that's the music tracks. And then this here is the main track and all of the cuts and splices. But I also take like 3 hours worth, an hour and a half to 3 hours worth of footage and shrink it down into 20 minutes.
Yeah, see, and I don't do that. And see, and like, and that's the thing. I do all of my stuff from my phone as well.
Yeah.
And
there's my camera right there. That's what I record on.
Yeah, like, and that's the one thing though, because like the best video on my channel, and it's still getting a couple hundred views every day, pretty much. Is that well, not my last Junkyard Tour video, because I put out another one.
Oh, you did? I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that one, well, it's not as good because it's not a bunch of classic cars. There are some classic cars.
Oh, no. I did see that one. I'm sorry. No, I did. I did see it come across my thing. Now that you mentioned it wasn't a bunch of classic cars.
Yeah, there really wasn't. And, like, but, there was still some. Like, there was a Hudson Wasp in there, for example, which is kind of cool. There was, like, a 1960 Ford Falcon, which, again, like, something you just don't see ever. A couple other things. I think there was like a 72-ish Cutlass. I didn't really go over that stuff too much because I was looking for specific things. And that's where I found my truck lid actually. Is in that video. So, but yeah, like, and because my cars, because he doesn't know, is I have a 1981 Ford Mustang. Notchback with the inline 6 and yes, I'm retaining the inline 6, and I'm currently doing a T5 swap in it as we speak. And I have an 86 Mustang convertible that I did a full 302 swap on. Then I also have, even though I'm selling it currently, is a 1981 Ford E350 what is the name of that one again? Triple E Camelot conversion. So it's basically a dually truck, but it's a van. Right? Pretty cool. And then my parts car, which is the most hilarious thing because I actually got that thing running and I drove it around the yard. Because it has no doors on it, it has no front fenders, no bumpers, just fantastic. And yeah, I like my 4i Fox bodies, and to be honest, like my 81 Mustang was my first car. I bought it for $500 back in 2019, and it was so original, it still had date-coded spark plugs in it. But it needed an out-of-province inspection as well, so basically I needed to replace just about everything in the car. But yeah, like, now, I am, that car's my pride and joy. I've done so much work to it, and just, yeah, like, everything I try to do now is an upgrade. So, oh, sweet. So you know the struggles of that inline six all too well. Because they are a pain in the ass to kind of deal with when it comes to if you want to build any power out of them because of that integrated intake and head design. But
like I said, it's not much different than the Nova as far as the integrated head and intake.
Yeah, that's true. But like with mine, for example, like I have now it's just with an adapter plate. I haven't machined out the intake for it, but I have a Motorcraft 2100 carb. Although I do have a poly 2-barrel for it. Just haven't gone through it, haven't mounted it up yet. So I have that on there. I have a supercell coil on there. I've got a Lilium Global 2.25-inch aluminum rad. I have a full dual exhaust on the car, except for stock exhaust manifold currently. I put an 8.8 with 355s in it, and like I mentioned, I am T5 swapping it with an 83 T5 from a V8. So yeah.
She's got a lot going on.
Uh-huh.
Well, I got a lot going on, but my stuff is kind of slow paced. Hers is kind of pumps more shit out.
I pump out a lot of content because that's the beauty of what I do, because I can just sit and talk about anything in front of my car with the tripod. Yeah. Super easy to do my content.
I could, but I just the same thing where you don't edit your videos. Me doing that is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, like, see, because the thing is, if you're gonna do a video like that, sort of an update video of kind of just, like, explaining, like, because sometimes I will take getting new parts, and I'll stretch that into a 20-minute video, because I can just talk and talk and talk. You know? And hey, you know what?
Talking?
I mean, having a stock vet's okay. I mean, they had the LS with 400 horsepower, and now, does yours happen to be the manual or the automatic?
He's also had plenty of freaking cars. I'm sure he just wants to be able to freaking relax and enjoy them. I mean, you should have seen all of the, like, I followed him through the whole build process for the GTA. And all of the work and all of the whatever, just for shit to go wrong. And him having to freaking, you know, he spent more time working on his car than he did enjoying it, which is, I'm pretty sure the one he has now, he's having more fun just enjoying driving it.
Well, for sure. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with having just, you know, a nice sort of stock car that you don't do anything to. Like, it's, for me, like, I like to modify my stuff. Anything I can do to improve it, that's what I like to do. It depends on the car, though, of course. Like, if I had, like, a fully original mint condition car or whatever else, that's a little different. I might not touch it. But I haven't really had that, because even my 81 Mustang, while it was fully original, it just needed a ton of work to pass an inspection.
He got a grandfather car.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
He got a low mileage grandfather car. That's what he got.
Ah, there you go. Hey, see, that's fun. You know what? And being an automatic, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, automatic LS doesn't eat shit. Well, I mean, and the thing is when I had my Nova on the road, I used to do stuff to it, but I didn't do stuff to it that it necessarily needed it to be taken off the road. I did paint body, interior mods, things like that. Or if it needed something, I would do it. Obviously, at one point it needed front bushings. I did the front bushings, you know, things like that. But with the brain fart, with the TA, and the fact that the Nova went down because of rust. But with the TA, I didn't hardly have a choice. The motor blew up on it. You know, I wasn't doing anything really with it. You know, that car I bought so that way I could cruise around in it and work on the Nova. You know, I bought the TA because it was my dream car, but I bought the TA because it was a running, driving car. You know, or a car that I could get running, driving pretty easily. It didn't need much until the engine blew up.
Yeah, well, like, that's one of the reasons why, like, I bought, because, like, the reason why I bought my 81 Mustang was because, like, I had certain criteria that I wanted in my first car, which is kind of funny because the cars that I was wanting to choose met almost none of that criteria, which is pretty funny. But because my 81 Mustang Basically, when I found it for sale, it was actually in. Initially, I saw the ad in December of 2018, but it was up for about a day and then it was gone. I'm like, oh man, like I didn't really have the money for it at the time and whatever else. So no big deal. But then all of a sudden, March comes along. I see the ad for the car again. I'm like, ooh. So I pounced on it. Like it was as soon as I saw it for sale, the next day I went to go see it and I bought it. But I was actually on my way up to look at a 79 Mercury Cougar with a 302 in it. Which any of my criteria was out the window because I wanted something small enough that will fit out front of my house because I don't have access to my driveway when my dad's here. Which a 79 Mercury Cougar would definitely not fit in front of my house. I wanted something decent on fuel, which like that thing, even though as big as it was, being a 302, wouldn't be horrible. Wouldn't be great, but wouldn't be horrible. So that was kind of okay. But then also, I wanted a unique factor, which I think has the unique factor, because when's the last time you saw a big body freaking Cougar? Right? So, that sort of thing.
Damn, that sucks. So he said that
Yeah,
well, not just you. I got other. He sold the car for 10 grand to somebody, and they wrecked it at the track. Yeah, I had I sold my Jeep. Now I sold it because the back half was rotted, and I sold it to be used as an off-road rig. And I found it on the road. I found it in a parking lot, right? Without anything fixed. And like I said, the only reason I got rid of it was because of the damage to it. And they didn't even fix it. They were just still driving it, whatever. So wherever they got it inspected, obviously it was a lick and stick. Because it should not have passed with the rear frame, with the rear leaf spring pockets rotting out. But yeah, that's that. I regret selling that Jeep to this day. I don't think I've sold anything else. Anything else that it's either been wrecked or whatever. That's the reason I lost it. But I regret selling the Jeep. Yeah, I mean, you should have seen, like, I think, I don't know if I can pull up pictures of it.
Well, see,
I don't know if he still has that same Facebook.
Let's see now. There's only two vehicles that I regret selling. Now, one of them was actually my dad's truck, which was 81 D150. Sled 6 automatic, single cab long box, but it had no rust. It had dents in every single corner of it, but no rust. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think he doesn't have that same.
But there was that thing, and then I also had.
So I don't have access to any of those pictures anymore.
But then also, like, the other vehicle that I regret selling was the '84 GMC Vanduro that I had, full-on conversion van, 2500, with a 350 in it, 700 R4, great van.
Wait,
I love that van.
You still have your Instagram, Ray?
Like, he mentioned that his FB is gone because he got banned.
Yes, I know, but it doesn't mean his Instagram's gone.
But yeah, like the cool thing about that van though is that it was actually in the bush. Oh, he said he still has his Instagram, yeah.
Yeah. It just matters whether or not he has the stuff from way back when. Because he has a habit of clean slating things.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, like the cool thing about that Vandura actually, and like I did a full revival sort of series on my channel of it, is because I literally pulled that thing out of the bush where it was sitting for 10 years.
Ray, last chance. Can I share your stuff or not? Because I have it pulled up. I found it already. I don't want to share it without his permission, but I found it. So this was the GTA.
Hey, whale tail.
It's gonna, yeah, it will. Yeah, it was not a sweet car when he picked it up. Well, not his girlfriend. Did not mean to share her.
Oh, interesting. Had this kind of a snowflake interpretation on there too.
Those are the snowflakes that I want on my car. Those are the 18-inch reproduction snowflakes. So those are the ones that I want on my car. Those are the aftermarket, the oversized. It was a 18 by 9. Yeah, from year one. But
yeah, I remember like you showed me those. And, like the one thing is, I just like more of a sidewall on my tire.
Well, so do I. But there comes a point of, I think that they look nicer than the stock ones. I think they look cleaner, and I also want to upgrade my brakes in my car, and it's easier for me to upgrade the brakes with an 18-inch than it is to upgrade it with a 15. And I think that the stock the sidewall on the TAs is too big for what the car looks like. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I need a 2-inch sidewall, but that's got like a 5-inch sidewall.
It doesn't. To me, that they have the right proportions and everything, but again, that's just me, right?
Whereas he has pictures of the engines in here somewhere. Yeah, there's the intake for the GNX, or the Grand National intake.
That's a funky intake.
That's the engine end intake, turbo.
Hey, Terpsky.
There's the whole setup.
Nice. See, I would love to do a turbo on mine, but and lower 2 inches all the way around. Cool.
Yeah.
See, now the one thing is though, I don't lower my cars just for the specific purpose of potholes and stuff like that. But
well, yeah, and the thing is I can't really lower my car anymore without losing drivability. My car already sits so low to the ground that I would start having things hitting the ground, especially here in PA. So the other reason with going to the bigger wheels is I can still keep a decent sidewall by going to a bigger wheel, a bigger tire. So I can fill out the wheel well more without having to lower the car, and without having a humongous sidewall. I know you had that's such a pretty car. And the fact that it doesn't exist. There's the vet.
There's the vet. Yeah. See. Okay. So it's not a Z06. I can tell that right off the bat. It which is fine, of course.
It's a toy.
Well, and that's the one interesting thing about those Corvettes, like the C5, because the regular C5 had a sort of hatchback where that back glass opens up and you got some storage there. While the Z06 actually was the only one that had a proper opening trunk. So, also they have a different fascia on the back too, to where the tail lights are more flush compared to recessed in like they are on that.
Yeah.
There's a couple little things like that.
I don't know. I think it's a nice car for a stock car.
Oh, yeah.
I would not complain, especially how much work he put in the last ones and didn't get to enjoy them.
Like the C5 vet is probably my favorite vet.
I think so too. I like them in black.
Go
figure.
I'm partial to red, but I think that's mostly because of Triple X.
Right. I like the. You ever seen Jimbo's channel?
Jimbo?
He's more local to me. He also used to do all of the filming for Savage Garage.
I don't think so.
All right, so Jimbo's channel was a small channel. He's from down Massachusetts, not Massachusetts, Maryland, and he used to do a lot of stuff, a lot of filming stuff, and he ended up getting hooked up with Street Speed 717 Mike from down my area, and Carmageddon ZL1, and a lot of other the bigger YouTubers in my area, and they put on a show called YouTuber Call Out down here at Maple. No, not Maple Grove. Which one was that? It was down in Delaware. I think it's Delaware. There's a drag strip down a little bit south of us, and they put on a big, like, all the YouTubers brought their cars, and they invited regular people to come and race them and different things. He did the actual cinematic video for that whole event, but he had one of these cars. It was black, had a really crazy engine in it and manual transmission. It was really nice. He loved the car, but he hated it because it was always breaking, because it was kind of pushing the limits of stock parts. He also had I think it's a C4. What's the 84 to?
That's C4 Corvette.
Yeah, he had a C4 Corvette that was red. It had a really, really neat abstract red, white, and black wrap on it. And that was a 350 manual transmission car. But that black one was so wicked. It was absolutely nasty. And it was like this, and I absolutely liked it. Don't know if I can find it. Let me close this and see if I can find Jimbo's car. But yeah, he had a nice car. Actually, I think I have an actual picture of the car on my Instagram, because I saw it in person. Why am I looking up Instagram on Instagram?
Because you're special.
Right?
Special with a capital S.
Too special.
Ugh.
Yeah, but he did a lot of work for Savage Garage. Oh, here's his C5. When it had the wrap on it.
Oh, for some reason, all those vets had 400 horsepower, unless I'm thinking of the Z06.
There you go. That was Jimbo's C5, C4.
I'm not a fan of that wrap at all.
I said it was wicked. I didn't say it was...
You said wicked. That's not wicked.
Yes, it is. It's wicked. I didn't say it was tasteful.
Oh.
Difference between wicked and tasteful. Here was his C5.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. It looked nice. It was badass but it was a heap as far as the way it was done. There was too many corners cut. There was too many and it wasn't. It was the way he bought it. He had issues from it the day he bought it. But it was a cool looking car.
Okay, that's what it was. I didn't realize that. So there we go. I didn't realize it was a Z06 that had the 400 and the regular vet only had 350.
Yeah, like I said, it was a wicked car.
Yeah, it's badass. For a second, because I wasn't looking very closely at that, just out of the corner of my eye, I saw the car on the lift, and I thought it was a giant whale tail off the back of that thing.
No, that's a car on the lift. But yeah, it was had all the blacked out taillights, and it was nice. If you get a chance, I don't know. I think he still has it up on his YouTube channel, but he is also like Raymond. He likes to clean house every once in a while and wipe out a bunch of shit.
Yeah, see, I've only deleted like any videos off my channel. I think I've only deleted like 2. Because I don't, a lot of the stuff that I have on the channel, it's interesting because like when you look at my early stuff, my other stuff is bad. It just is. Some of those videos I'd like to redo here in the future, but some of them I actually kind of have too. Because in the beginning when I started, I actually didn't start working on the cars in videos until much later. It kind of started more as just like talking about the car hobby and whatnot. for a little bit. There was one video where I put what's wrong in the car hobby, and it's just all the toxic crap that I've dealt with throughout the years with butthurt guys because I'm a chick in the car hobby. But it's just one of those deals, and people were getting upset that I put out that video, which is like too funny, just like how fragile men's egos are.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we're not necessarily as strong as everybody seems to think we are. No, I mean, not even just for the car or whatever stuff. I'm just saying in general, we're supposed to be a lot tougher than we actually are. Did we lose Brad? Did he fall asleep? No, he's still blinking.
No, I'm still here.
We're just boring him, apparently.
Yeah, well, I always do find it interesting that, like, if I'm here at least, with him, he almost, like, never talks in here. He just comes up on here and he's just listening.
Yeah, he talks when it's just me and him.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk when, how's it in the chat? Adoptive mom is going.
He's saying you dominate the conversation sometimes.
Oh, you're not wrong.
No, I'm not. There are times I am sitting here on my own podcast, standing here just listening to you talk. Like I said, but the thing is yes, that's a good thing, but it's because you have more information to give than I do in a lot of situations.
Oh, yeah. Well, because that's the one thing.
What does he have? I heard. What does he have? I don't know who he is.
I'm gonna assume dude down there.
What does Chris have? I mean, Brad. Chris is not one that's not here. You don't really.
That's what I'm guessing.
What do you have? You just have the snowmobiles and shit, right?
I have 3 snowmobiles, and then I got a 88 to 98 body style Chevy.
Truck?
That is, yeah.
I guess when you say Chevy, you're just meaning truck.
Yeah.
Okay, with you in the podcast. That is Brad, which I'm going to change that, because it shouldn't just say Chris. It should say Bradley. And I spelled that badly, almost literally.
Although I do find it funny that you say, hey, yeah, 88 to, like, 98, and I'm going, yeah, that's an OBS. You can be a little more specific here.
He's got a Chevy, too.
Chevy didn't use the term OBS.
No, they never
Ford.
Did. Yeah. Oh, we know.
It's just like a square body.
Body.
Yeah, to me, I hate that. It's modern generation that is termed that OBS. To me, that's square body. Never would you ever have heard me call that an OBS. That's a square body.
Yeah, see, for me, square body is the 70s one. The one just before that. Because it's 80. A lot more square.
80 to 90 something is square body.
Yeah, see, like, well, for me, square body is 74 to 87.
I don't even know if we have a term for those ones.
Well, that's
as Chevy guys. I don't know if that's a term.
That is a term with the Chevy guys. That's the square body. Go on Facebook and go GM square body.
No. Because Facebook is new gen. I'm talking old school.
Yeah, even you can find forums and stuff like that online that date, back 10, 15 years too.
That's still new school.
Square body.
You're not going old enough. That is still new slang. You need to go older. You need to go to people that were doing that shit in the 90s. That's when you know what what we used to call that shit. Because in the 90s, the 80s generation, probably all the way back to those ones, would all have been square bodies. Because it's when they went to the rounded ones that we call it something different.
Yeah, piece of shit.
All of the trucks up until, like, what was it, 90, I don't even know, what, 90, early 90s, when they switched over to the more, to the modern style pickups. They would have all been considered square bodies. Even though they have because they're not much different until you get to, like, the 50s. From the 70s all the way up until the 90s, they're not much different. They're different generations, yes, but didn't change them like drastically.
Well, I mean, for those
Yeah.
for the actual square bodies from the 70s into the 80s, yeah, but in the 80s and like the late 80s into the late 90s, I suppose, because literally it was 98, I think was the final year.
Yeah.
Um,
CKs.
but and like I always found it kind of stupid because that they call that the OBS Chevy. I just
me,
call it that
OBS
because that's what
means
everybody
original
kind of
body style.
understands it as. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, it means old or original, which usually
that's the 90s are not.
Yeah. Well, people call them that whole
Because
generation
almost
the OBS.
everybody that's around anymore is all. I mean, geez, they think 90s cars are old.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they are.
I'm old enough that 90s cars are not old.
Yeah. Oh, I never can like. That's the one thing. Even though yes, if you go 1992 as an example, that was 30 years ago, but it doesn't mean that it's an old car in that way. Like even though age-wise it's old, but
you're not making any points over here.
Technology-wise. Well, you know what I mean. You know that I've always said like an old car, like if it has modern fuel injection and acts like a modern vehicle, I don't really consider it a classic.
Yeah, there's before computer, after computer. 73 to 80, 80 to 87. I would consider 73 to 87. I would, actually, no. 73 to 80 to 91, I said would be considered your old school square body.
Yeah, see, and like in the square body for anything you look up is 73 to 87. And then they call the 88 to, I think it was 98, the OBS. Like, now, I will say Chevrolet didn't come up with those terms. People on the internet that came up with those terms.
But I also don't think it's people from our generation that came up with those terms. That's an internet savvy generation that came up with those terms. I don't think that if you met any old school truck guys, that's what they would have called them.
Yeah, and I don't know. I also asked my uncle.
I mean, technically, most of them stuff we would either call like a C10, or like we like the Blazers. We didn't call them anything. They were just a K5, or whatever. We didn't have necessarily like. If it was the old school Chevys, it was a square body. If it was a new generation, well, then it was just a Silverado. It didn't. We didn't have like cat eye and weird shit like that. It's just it's a Silverado. It didn't have any special name. The older school ones, they were square bodies. If you go to the old ones, they just were old Chevys. We didn't have like, I don't know, I guess nicknames for them. You got the old school ones, you got the freaking square bodies, and then you got the newer ones. That's what we had. I mean, that's how I would say it. I mean, I didn't ever call the Ford trucks that I like. I never called them bullnoses. I never heard that term until recently.
Yeah, well, even
never heard that term.
Well, even like some of the slang for the Fords, because you had the brick nose, the bull nose Fords, you had dead sides. There is the bump side.
Yeah, but see, like,
and
I've never used any of those nicknames. Any of them. I mean, we had step side Chevys. You had dualies. You had the square bodies. You had just fucking Silverados. Or we'll call them by their things, like the Z71s, or it didn't have, like I said, we didn't use things like cat eye or bullnose or whatever you called the other ones. That wasn't a thing. That's a new school thing.
Yeah, well, it's a way to differentiate them.
We just and what it was. Or generation. We do gens, like first gen, second gen, third gen.
Yeah, well, see, that's some kind of a thing now too. To be fair, just some people don't understand the whole thing of.
And that's kind of the problem I have. I'm gonna hate a little bit here. It's the problem I have with current generations. They don't understand. They have to freaking put some fancy twist on bullshit just because they needed to feel special. They can't just call it. They just can't call it an '89 Ford pickup. No, it's got to be a bullnose. Or I'm not saying the '89 is the bullnose. I'm just saying they can't just call it what it is. They got to give it some weird ass freaking name. I mean that would be like them giving the freaking my 879 TA some weird ass freaking name. It's a 79 TA. Why can't it just be a 79 TA? Or it's a second gen TA. It's not a hawk nose or a bird beak or whatever.
See, I will say I haven't heard any of the slang for those
because they're not interested in them. That's why.
Oh, trust me, there is interest in them. Are you kidding me? Those have been exploding lately.
Yeah, but not from the younger crowd.
Oh, the younger crowd still does like them. Just the one thing is they don't grasp onto them.
Yeah, everybody calls anything that's a Firebird a Bandit.
That's true.
Or a Camaro.
I've heard Bandit name with either a Firebird or a Trans Am from the late 70s, or they're if you didn't like them, they were the trash can, right?
What is a Hawkeye TA? Oh, god damn it! Now I gotta fucking do some looking up.
I think he means like the 77 is my guess. Like the actual Bandit Trans Am.
No.
Okay, Harvey, calling it an F-body, yeah, the F-body is the entire range of the Firebird.
Yeah,
so that doesn't count.
Firehawk, I mean, of course I like the Firehawk, but I don't see anything that Hawkeye is a slang.
But yeah, I've only ever heard of Hawkeye be used on an Impreza. So, yeah, but like, that's why with Harvey mentioning like the 79 TAs and F-body, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But the F-body was used from 67 right up until the Firebird died.
Firebird and the Camaros, which was 2002.
Yeah.
And when the Camaro came back, they no longer used an F-body platform.
That's true. Yeah, they I can't remember what they use now, but
so the 77 and 78. I mean, I guess that nose is cool. I mean, I always wanted that nose too, but I can't stand the rest of the car. I don't like that car from the back. I think the 79, 80, 81 had a nicer tail.
Yeah, see, for me, my sort of favorites for the second gen is about 74.
Yeah, again, they look nice from the front. I
love the tails on those. I really do. Like those taillights especially, they're my favorite of any of those. But my favorite year of Firebird is 69.
Our friend, me and Raymond's friend Dan, he had one of my favorite non-Trans Am Firebirds, which was like the snorkel nose formulas.
Snorkel nose? What the hell is that?
Early 70s.
What do they call those?
It's a snorkel nose, because the snorkels hang over top of the front bumper. Have you ever seen them? They hang over top. They hang over the front of the hood.
I've just never heard of something called a snorkel.
It's a snorkel.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say that.
What they are, it's a snorkel.
Yeah, so
they're a snorkel
it's kind
nose.
of interesting though that you were saying the whole thing with this generation calling stuff whatever, but you just did the same thing there.
Well, I mean, technically they're called a snorkel. That's what those vents are on the hood.
Yeah,
and
but I don't know how many people call it a snorkel nose
because unlike the later 70s, where they're literally just flat to the hood, there's just a flat hole in the hood. The early 70s literally has a snorkel. Let me find an image instead of a video.
Well, see, I know what they look like.
Well, I am. It is not just for your entertainment. It is also
This
for
whole thing
visual
is
reverence.
for me.
All right,
It's
just typical
all
female.
for me.
Typical female.
That was supposed to be mine.
Well, I am a woman with ADHD. Isn't the attention supposed to be centered around me?
So yes, snorkel nose.
You see, I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of those hoods, though.
Oh, I love them.
You see, I'm not. I like the either regular
I
Firebird
want
or the
that
Shaker.
car. I want that car and whatever the fucking green is that they came in.
Beautiful. I love that. But that, yeah, I'm not a fan of that hood on that generation. It's just not my thing. Like for me, just give me the plain Jane
Where is the
hood or
green?
give me the Shaker. You know, which was only on the Trans
There
Am,
it is.
and actually, did the Shaker come on non-Super Duties as well?
What, the
Like
shaker?
on the early 70s ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Trans Am came with a shaker.
Okay, I couldn't remember if they reserved it only for the Super Duties
No,
or
the
if
only
it was
car
the
that
regular
didn't
Trans Am
have a
as well.
shaker was the early Trans Ams, which had the snorkels.
Yeah, see, early, like, well, I'm trying to think actually. So, okay, 19.
This is the
My brain's
color that I'm talking about, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna
love
say,
that.
yeah, the Hunter. Well, it's not Hunter Green, but you know what I mean.
I
Yeah,
forget what color
it is a beautiful color.
That or Brentwood Brown, which is my
Is it
buddy's TA color.
Is it you?
Brentwood Brown is also one of my favorite colors. But I think the formulas look good in that orangey red that they have. There's a nice pretty blue that they came into.
Well, see, I always find it funny that Pontiac always called, like, because even though that is, what was it, Hugger Orange? But they called it Carousel Red?
Well, Hugger Orange is a Mopar color, isn't it?
No, Vitamin C is. Vitamin C and, no, Hugger that's the Camaro color, the Chevy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the second gen.
Yeah, it was Hemi Orange and Vitamin C for
Hugger
Mopar.
Orange came on the 1970 Camaro Z28.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing is, though, because they kept that same sort of color, like very similar anyways, in the late 60s as well. But when Pontiac used that color, they called it Carousel Red, even though it's definitely different. Which I always found that funny, because it is the exact same color. It's just the two companies called it different things. Just like
No, that's like the black that is on TAs. I'm pretty sure it's called like Galaxy Black or something like that. It's standard black that they all of the manufacturers use. It is just basic black. There's no sparkle, there's no pearl, there's no nothing in it. It is straight black. That's the color that's on the limited edition TAs. The black on gold.
Yeah.
It is called Galaxy Black, but there's nothing special about it.
Yeah. Well, it's no different than when it comes to well, it's kind of interesting because actually with how different manufacturers under the same umbrella called colors different names.
Oh yeah.
So, like for example, with
okay, so it was called Hugger Orange, Monaco Orange, and Carousel Red.
There you go.
And Harley
but I always
Orange.
found it.
It's also
But I always found it funny though because like the Pontiac called it Carousel Red, even though it's orange. The fact that
I'm
you know
pretty
the
sure that's
paint
the
code on
color.
that is impressive.
I'm pretty sure that's the color they used on the formulas that I like, with the black and yellow bird on the hood.
Maybe.
Pretty sure.
It's kind of funny that he actually knows the paint code for that.
It's kind of what he's into paint, so yeah.
I mean, I know the Dodge paint codes, but on the VINs. For that. Like, if you ever find a Mopar anywhere and you look at the VIN and you see TX9 on that VIN, that's a black car. If you see FM3, that's a Panther pink car. Or Moulin Rouge, if it's a Plymouth. And there's one other one that I remember, but I can't remember what. It's eluding me at the moment. Like, I know some of them. But basically, I know TX9 and FM3 because those are the two paint colors I love the most. So I'd love to find a legit FM3 Panther pink car.
See if I can try to find that color that, here it is. I think this is it. I gotta mute it. Oh, it is already muted. Good. This is the color similar to the color that I want to do the TA. See if I can get it to me showing it off. If it comes out right. Ah, puppy. Of course, it's gonna. Why are you acting like you have no service here, buddy? Really? Hold on. Let me wait for it to load.
Good night, Raymond.
I might just have too many windows open.
Yeah, computers like having.
I have so many windows open from doing that other stuff. Not to mention how much I am doing just to do this live. Is it gonna come on? And the thing is, I don't think it's more. It's more the computer having issues with all of these windows open. I don't think the internet should have an issue with it. What is it trying to display it at? Well, that would be it. Let's not display it at freaking 4K. Not like you guys are going to be able to see the 4K anyway. Okay. If I go big, will it go big? Yes, it will. Alright, ready? Looks black, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it has that little bit of
a lot of purple.
Yeah. I like that.
So
yeah,
this is a different color. I forget which one this one is. This one has a different pearl in it. But yeah, it's black base coat, colored pearl, and then black clear.
Oh, it's a pretty. I've always enjoyed that color.
It's new. It's not. It's technically a candy, but candy uses color tinted clears. Like,
well, I mean,
like a red or an orange.
The basis of that paint though has been done for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
Also,
candies normally they'll use a lighter color under base, a base coat like a silver or gold. And then they'll throw a metallic on top of that, and then they'll throw a clear a colored clear, like an orange or a red or a burgundy. Whereas this isn't a metallic. It's a pearl.
Yeah. Well, no, like, but I have seen that paint before on other things, and like, or at least similar style to it. I'll say that. On quite a few different vehicles, and it's always a good looking color whenever you see it. I've seen that similar sort of color on like your 50s Mercs that are built out and stuff like that.
That's an actual candy.
Well, I'm saying similar.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying it's the exact same. No, because
the
everybody's
difference.
Like when it comes to custom paint, a lot of people do their own sort of thing, right? Especially with a custom show car, right?
Right.
Compared to something that you can find a formula for.
Right, but I mean the difference between what you're talking about is you can see the color the whole time with the like what you see on like hot rod candies. You see the whole color the whole time. This looks like a flat paint.
Oh no, I have seen that similar. Not like there have been a few that I've seen like that. It's not all the time. Yeah, most of them are more. This is true. That's a little more subtle, but it's still I have seen very similar to that. Like, stop trying to say what you think I've seen that way, because trust me, I have. It's very similar to that.
Oh, poisonous frog. Oh, all right. Yeah. Has anybody else heard anything interesting in the news as far as anything automotive? No, been dead week. Well, they just had SEMA this week, didn't they?
There was SEMA, yeah.
And really, nothing has come out of SEMA this week.
Nothing that's like groundbreaking in the automotive world thing that I've seen, anyways. But like one thing that's been making the rounds actually, it's pretty cool. Somebody built an FD-RX-7, so the last gen RX-7.
Okay.
And the thing is, they actually put in with individual throttle bodies on it. It's a V12 out of a Mercedes into it.
Okay.
Big wide body. It's teal in color. It just looks so badass. Like, it doesn't have a hood on it, so you see all those individual throttle bodies sticking up. It's just beautiful.
So kind of like the old school Hellborn injection kind of style.
Similar, yeah. Similar. Like it's not that's the style it's emulating.
Modern variant of it.
Yeah, but it's much more modern. Like these are proper electronic throttle bodies, not mechanical, right? But it's pretty cool. Like, and just seeing that, because it's such but like when you see a weird swap like that, because you never hear of somebody saying, "Hey, I'm gonna grab a Mercedes V12 and shove it in a car." No, it does that.
And what was I seeing on YouTube right before I came live? It was a Bugatti with I think like a Mercury body on top of it, like an old school Merc.
Okay.
I don't know if I still. Let me just see if I can find it.
Yeah, I would have to see this.
See if it's on my recommended. It was on my computer. I mean, on my TV, so I don't know if it'll be on here.
Well, if it's the same account, you think it'd be.
There it is. No, get through the ad.
The one thing I hate about not having my I had YouTube Premium for a little bit, but it was just their 3 month sort of free trial.
It's that weird freaking Bugatti from the like 90s.
What, the EV110? Let's take a look here. You show.
Yeah, I think that's what this is. Hold on. That's what that 90s Bugatti, isn't it?
Why does that look like a Ford Probe, though? That doesn't look like an EV110.
It says 365 days and 48 minutes. Currently inspired vintage car plus Bugatti.
Yeah, that doesn't look like an EV110 because they didn't have pop-up lights on them. Why does that look like a Ford Probe? Okay, that's just a rendering of Chiron. Okay, so they're turning the Probe into a Bugatti, is my guess.
Vintage car plus Bugatti. No, because this was the other car. This is the other donor.
Yeah, that's a Ford Probe.
And that one is. That's the donor.
Oh, like a Ford console or something like that from the 50s.
And I don't have anything down in the description. Work, my freaking computer's gotta be all freaking weird today. But yeah, it's from Axis Garage.
I've heard of them. Never watched anything they've done, but I've heard of them. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure what they were trying to do there. Like put Ford Probe body on an old Ford.
No, it's the opposite way. The old school body is the one that's going to be on top.
Put it on a front wheel drive. Interesting.
Or maybe not. I don't know. It's right here. Trying to get a good shot of it.
Okay, they were building a Bugatti. That's what they were doing. That's a Chiron sort of body they were using. So they used 3 different cars to make the Chiron style thing.
Oh, like I said, I just caught the glimpse of the thumbnail.
Yeah, so they're okay. That's kind of weird. So they're doing the old school Ford front end with the Chiron back. That's kind of wild.
I wish I could show the freaking thumbnail, but see if I go to their. If they have a Instagram, maybe. Yeah, they do. Of course, it didn't take you guys to the Instagram. This Instagram's all.
Yeah. It's interesting what people will do in the custom car world. Because like there's no rules to custom cars. So it's the fun part about. But yeah,
most of his channel's all woodworking though. His Instagram. They have one picture of the car done. I don't see any other pictures of the car whatsoever. See if the post has anything more. There's another link to somebody that's sorry that page is not available. I don't know. It's confusing. It's not even American. It's I guess it's Russian because everything was all the writing on the Instagram was all like a writing I couldn't understand.
Huh. Interesting.
Oh, Access Garage. I'll check the video out later.
Yeah, because it kind of just looks like that they were taking like a It looked like a Ford console from the 50s, that front end, merging it with like a Ford probe, and then making a fiberglass cap for the back that's a Bugatti Chiron. Very odd. But each their own.
We decided to intercross vintage car and modern Bugatti Chiron.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a lot more videos on the channel than there are on the Instagram. I mean, if there's a car to do that with, it's kind of that one because it's got that nice body break where it's got the scallop. So everything in front of the scallop can be a different car. Because it's like it's coming from the one car is coming out from the inside of the other one.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Not my thing, but you know.
Well, I mean, the renders are freaking sweet. I mean, let me see if I can pull up. I'm just gonna pull up his. I mean, look at the renders.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me, but you know.
I don't know. Oh, I'm getting tired, and well, we have 3 people in here. Can I really leave if we got 3 people in here?
Well, we can because the chat is dead.
59. No, somebody just talked 2 minutes ago. I mean, they're not really chatting, more so as gambling.
Yeah, that's different. That's not. You don't need that.
But yeah, you know, I think I'm gonna get off because I'm gonna work on more of this wiring thing. Because I still got to come up with. I still have to come up with a parts list and a price. I can get his crap off of the. There we go. Apparently Harvey just passed team mechanic.
Might as well. Awesome. I mean, he's almost never here, but
I have
you
to.
don't hear that often either, so there's that.
I still have to come up with a parts list. Well, first off, I got to figure out. I'm still not done figuring out all of the circuits, where they're going, if they're gonna have connections, because like the fuel circuit, the fuel pump, obviously I'm moving it from the Holley sniper harness, and I'm moving it into that fuse box, and then out of the fuse box, it's got to go through the firewall, through the car, and out the back of the car. And then across the tail pan, and then down into the fuel tank. I don't want to do that in one giant long wire. Which is technically how Holley wants it. Holley provides a wire to run all the way down to the back of the fuel pump. One continuous wire. I think I'm going to take it from the relay. I think I want to put it through the actual fuse bulkhead. So the American Auto wire bulkhead. Because there's some empty spots in that I can you know, I can use that as a junction point. And then I can run that wire all the way down through. I'll probably have one more break right after it comes out of the inner firewall at the same place that the back harness connects in. So basically put a connection into the same place that the factory put a break in the wiring harness. And then run that all the way to the back of the car. Because then there's another break. There's another break right before it goes in through the tail pan down to the gas tank. What? Him? He's not sleeping. He's listening. Sure?
Oh. Yeah, your eyes.
He's got headphones in. He's listening.
Well, okay, you had your eyes closed, and the way you kind of twitched your head, it looked like you were asleep.
He's shaking his foot.
No. Fair enough. I thought you were asleep.
No, I've been watching him. I got my eyes on him.
I'm kind of looking at my wall here in the house, wondering what I can rip down and start remodeling as well.
I wish I could do that to my garage right about now. I want that wall gone, and I want the floor fucking level so bad. I just want to. I'm basically increasing my working space by like 6 feet.
I wish I had a garage.
Well, yeah, I have gotten past the point of wishing I had a garage. Now I just need to make the garage the way I want it.
Like, granted, I have access to a garage, but it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I've been there. I had access to a garage when I was at her grandparents. And again, it wasn't 2 hours away, but it was far enough away that made it inconvenient to be able to work at, because I have family and kids and work, which makes it hard to get away from things. But yeah, fewer connections, fewer problems. I can understand that. But the problem is when you're working in a car that needs to be worked on, considering this car still needs the full interior done, and some other things, it's going to have paint and body. Having sections of the car able to be disassembled without bothering other sections of the car would be most helpful. So if I need to do something in the engine or whatever, and let's say I take the fenders, the hood, everything out of the front of instead of me having to pull that fuel line all the way from the back of the car through the car so I can take that part of the harness out, it terminates at the firewall. So, and I can take the firewall bulkhead apart and everything in front of it can go. You know, I've been there where I've been working on something and somebody has a wire somewhere and it follows along the factory harness but doesn't break where a factory harness does, and then you got to disassemble a lot more just to be able to do the same thing, or you end up cutting the wire.
How the hell does this thing have an update?
Radio systems find it all the fucking time where they hardwire the fucking radio into the factory harness along with all the speaker wires. And then if you got to try to move anything, all them speaker wires are connected. And they go all the way to the back of the car. So if you got to pull the dash or something, well, you got to separate the harness. And that's annoying. One of the things I'm doing with the harness for this car for the radio is I'll have the connector that goes into the radio will go into, what I say, a 14 pin or 16 pin connector. And then that connector will go into the factory harness as far as power, ground, and all that stuff. All the speaker wires will then break out into 2 more connectors for front and rear. So I can either disconnect the thing from the head unit itself, or if I want to leave the pigtails in the radio, I can disconnect the big connector and pull everything out. Or say I just need to, I'm just removing the center console. Well, the front speakers go to the center console. I can just disconnect the front speaker freaking connector. You know? Or if I'm just removing the dash, but I'm leaving the center console and everything else in, well, then I can disconnect, I can leave the speaker connections disconnected and take everything else with me. So, yeah, it's part of what's taking so long is figuring out where do I want a connection. That way, when it comes to disassembling this car, because it's not done, that I have an ability to disassemble the car without having to blow everything apart. Especially with the stuff under the hood. I want that harness to come out with the engine or whatever. I don't want to have to disconnect everything. So the Holley system should disconnect at the engine. Where it connects into the body harness, like I said, should have a connection there. But then it should also have a connection where, the rest of the engine harness disconnects. It's just, I want the car to be easy to work on. So if I got to do a little bit more work now to make it make more sense later, then that's what I'll do. Everything terminates at the firewall. So anything that's got to go through the firewall should terminate at the firewall.
Well, actually, because Harvey just mentioned, that's too much sense. Engineering would never let it pass. Correction.
I'm not an engineer.
Engineering would let it pass, but the bean counters would say, no, we have to save a few cents on these clips.
Yeah, well, the clips are expensive, too.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the reason why. Okay, so I do have to cut some corners. That I was talking the very beginning of this live stream about that power distribution, the 1 into 3. Buttman makes one, or not Buttman, Bussman. Bussman makes one, and it makes one that looks it's really nice. It's all watertight, it's whatever, but it's $99 without the fuses, without any of the connections, just the unit, and really only need one more connection connected to the one that I have to make it a 3-way. And the way that it's built, it's modular. Now, granted, it's not waterproof, but then again, neither is the battery terminal anyway. And it's still dealing with full-size battery size cables. Maybe I'll upgrade it further, in the future, but for now, if I just get one more of those modular units and just run a bus all the way across all 3 of the top posts, because right now it's got, and all it is it's a piece of metal with 2 holes drilled in it that jumps the space between the 2 terminals. So if I get one that's 1, 2, 3, well, now I've got a 3-bus. A 3-bus power distribution, and I can run my relay unit, alternator, starter off of it. I still have to run the sniper directly to the battery. You guys both look dead. Am I boring the shit out of both of you?
I just have a really bad headache. I started to arise about 10 minutes ago, and it just got worse. Oh, good. I'm still listening. It's just head's pounding.
But yeah, so I think I can find that modular unit that they have, and I can get that for now, because right now I'm running out of budget, and we're struggling a little bit financially right now ever since we got hit with the COVID, and I lost a week worth of work and she lost a week worth of work, and so it put us behind just enough to be a pain in the ass.
I get being on a budget. To do my whole T5 swap and everything, because I didn't buy the clutch, my friend did. So I'll pay him back for that. I owe him so much freaking money at this point for that sort of stuff, because let's see, because he bought me the clutch. Whoa. He's the one that put the MSD and Blaster 2 coil on my too. And again, I'll have to buy him a new MSD box and Blaster 2 coil at some point. Well, so that clutch kit and that, I think it comes out to probably around $800-900.
Yeah, I spent way too much money. But I also need to get this car out of the garage. I need to get it running and moving. I need to bring home the Novas because they're costing me $140 a month. If I bring them home, that saves me $140 a month.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And right now we need the money. So I need to get the car going. If there's something that I can do that I can upgrade later, I need to do it. So it doesn't make sense to spend the $100 and some on that nicer relay box. If only to, when I have a distribution block sitting here, it just needs one more leg. There are some things like that relay box. I kind of have to do that now because to do it later is going to be a super pain in the ass. Because I have to pull the harness out to fix that, to redo it the way I want to do it. So I got to do it now. There's some stuff underneath in the main harness that I have to do now because, again, it's going to be a pain in the ass to do it later.
So, actually, I just thought in the chat of what's the gamble mean. So, we have these mini games in the chat, which is we can gamble, we can heist, and there's a couple other little things like that. to where we collect NOVAtazz points, and by the end of the year, whoever has the most points, and I think actually this year you consider doing top 3 potentially, of NOVAtazz points will get like free merch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like right now, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna catch her.
You're trying.
That's just not even. Huh?
You're trying.
I'm trying. Yeah, actually, I need to do another gamble here. I mean, I won last year, but I still haven't got my stuff.
There's several ways you can get Nova Cash. Nova Cash you get if you subscribe during the live stream, which if you're not subscribed yet, you should. That'll get you points. Donating to the channel, whether through PayPal or YouTube, that actually gets you quite a bit of points. Or gambling, or answering silly questions that I post during the live. Like I might ask what my first car was, and if you follow the channel, you'll figure it out. Different things, you know. I'll basically, if you're a subscriber and you've watched the videos, or you're part of my Instagram or whatever, you should be able to get most of the questions that I ask. Would you say that's fair? I don't normally do anything that's like you wouldn't know if you didn't follow me.
Yeah, not that I've seen. Like, granted, like, have I watched a lot of your content? No, but you've talked about a lot of it on the live.
Yeah, exactly. If you follow the live, well, most of it will be on live, and most of the time, the question will be related to one of the live streams in the last little bit. You know, it'll be a topic that we talked about, or whatever. It might have been a story. You know, like the reason you would know what my first car is because I've told that story. I don't know how many times of what happened in that first car. You know, and the fate of that first car. You know, that's why we've also had just topics of what was your first car. You know, we've all gone through and talked about what our first car was. You still own your first car, Kat.
I'm never selling my car.
I unfortunately do not have the ability to. Technically, the Nova was my second car.
Okay,
I still have
it. With me, is I can sell every other one of my vehicles before. Well, I was gonna point there, but it's not there. It's
right. But the thing
way over there.
The thing is, it only takes one idiot behind the wheel to take that car from you. So.
Well, that's different. But
that's what happened to my first car.
Yeah, see, and that it'd be so sad if that ever happens. But
Harvey said he had to crush his first car this summer.
That's really sad. But like the one thing is
you subscribed earlier on this live. You must have your subscription list hidden because it should have popped up and done that thing.
It should have, yeah. That'd be my guess.
So if you subscribe during my live, you should have seen this. That should have played. Because I have cool things that show up when you subscribe to the channel, when you donate, and different things that pop up when you do those things. But you have to have it can't tell that you did that if you don't have your subscription list public. Because that Streamlabs is looking for that.
You know what's funny? Because you did that. That actually knocks some health off.
Yeah, it'll go back as soon as when I reload the lives when I go shut this down and turn it back on, it won't count it. It'll go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does affect the stream boss as well. So also, if you donate to the live stream, it knocks down the, where is it at? Over here, down in this bottom corner.
Yeah, the bottom right.
Yeah, it knocks down the health bar of the person who's the stream boss. and when it gets all the way down to 0, it kicks off the stream boss, and whoever gave the last point will become the new stream boss, and they'll get their channel logo, whatever the logo for their YouTube channel that they donated with will show up there, with a health bar. I don't know. I did not see anything come up. The last thing that I have was a Facebook from a while ago. I mean, maybe my mini feed isn't updating.
Yeah, it's possible that it just glitched. It's not unheard of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can go to his page and see if his I can see his subscription list. Go to channel. That's not what I wanted to do. Video shorts community channels about. No, his subscriptions do not show up.
Yeah, so you have your subscription list set to private.
Yep. You have I cannot see anybody that you're subscribed to. So yeah, I mean, if it was like, I think Cat's yours is done the other way, right? So if I go to Cat's,
Mine's public, yeah. There should be a category for subscriptions on there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I can't remember what it is.
Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Fuck. I just closed the chat. Restore chat. Well, I don't know. Is it under about? Channels? Yeah, it's under channels.
Yeah, that's what it is. And yeah, because I have all of my subscriptions as public.
Right, so if I show her screen or her YouTube channel, when I go to her channel, you can see that if I go over here to channels, it shows all of the channels that she's subscribed to. Oh my god, what is that channel? Ooh, I'm gonna scroll past that. It's not safe for work.
Oh, please.
But if I go to yours, go to channel, share that one. He said it figured it. He fixed it, so it might show it now. When I go to channels, yeah. At least for now, it's not fixed.
Yeah, well, he didn't say. He says he's gonna have to figure out how to change that, which I don't.
It goes into settings. Let's see. I go to YouTube Studio. I don't know if you'll have a YouTube. Oh, he has videos, so he should have a YouTube setting. Whatever. I think it's under settings. Community.
And I am slowly catching you in subscribers.
I noticed.
I just hit 2,400.
Here.
Yeah, I gotta do more Junkyard Tour videos because they tend to do really well. But I'm just hoping that my T5 video just explodes because everybody's always interested in doing a T5 swap.
Manage YouTube, whatever.
But mind you, with my T5 swap, I have to do a couple extra steps because weirdness.
I forget where it's at.
I don't know.
Is it under privacy? No. Advanced settings? No. I don't know. It's somewhere. You have to go figure it out. Let's see if I can figure it out though. I thought it was under.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Under customized.
So now I should be 2,401 subscribers.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Moving on up. And I'm just just waiting for that clutch fork, because once I have that clutch fork, then I can finish the T5 video, and then I can put that video up, and then I can do another video of how it is to drive the car with, having a T5 in it, being able to bang shift. Because, guys get like freaking, they go nuts when a girl knows how to like shift a freaking car up.
I guess.
It's a thing. Go look at, like, especially on Facebook. Oh my god. There could be like an attractive woman that is just driving a stick shift truck.
Right.
And like, and it blows because people are stupid. It's so sad. Like, it really drives me nuts because I never use my body to do that, and I do have a clutch fork coming, yeah. Because I have to do it weird due to the
I'm listening.
Because it's my brain. Because I'm using a 66 bell housing for my 200.
Right.
So I have to use the clutch fork from a 66, which I found out in California. It's currently in BC at the moment, so it won't be long before I get it.
Yeah, that's not too far.
No, I should be here, next week.
My cat and dog are having an issue. Yeah, I'm not sure where it is. It used to be so easy to find all of this stuff.
Well, they keep changing YouTube.
Yeah, and then they hide freaking settings and move them and... Yeah, because, like, stuff has been so much different than when I started YouTube. Under dashboard, maybe? No. I don't know where it is anymore. You're going to have to Google it. No, my cat's a dick. And he doesn't like the dog, but he'll still come in here and like hiss and moan and growl at the fucking dog. And the dog's doing absolutely nothing. Now he's just curious and wants to play, and the cat's acting like he's a freaking wounded victim.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking being all poop. Just like go the fuck back upstairs, cat. You don't want to be down here with the dog. Don't come down here. The dog doesn't go upstairs. I don't know. Like I said, no parts. I guess you'll figure it out. I can do some Googling maybe if you message me and let you know how to do it. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, I have. Oh, you had to have picked me up earlier because I have 2,820 now. I have 180 left to go to hit 3,000.
I have a lot more than that, but I get a lot more subscribers.
You get more subscribers a day than I do. I mean, well, actually, probably a day. You probably get subscribers daily.
I do, yeah. I get 3 or 4 a day, but if I do a video and it does really well, I get probably 10 or 20.
I mean, I get several a video that I do. Like, I'll get some each video. But the problem is I don't put out videos as quickly as you do.
Yeah, well, even like I put out a lot of shorts too, which help.
Yeah. I don't do
people.
shorts.
People will subscribe off of shorts.
I don't. It's not that I don't do them. It's not like I can't do them. It's just I don't have any desire to do them.
Well, what I've noticed is that, okay, if it's a YouTube short, you're basically going to make no money whatsoever. But if it's the same, so if you do the same length of a video, but you have it in portrait instead of, or landscape instead of portrait when you film it, you'll actually make more money off of that. But you will
show up
likely
in
not.
a short feed.
Yeah, it won't show up in a short feed.
Which means it won't get the exposure that the short feed video will.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, like, because I put out like a couple the other day.
Yeah.
It's just
so I mean, like the whole point of doing a short feed video is to reach a bigger audience because it displays it to a lot more people that aren't your subscribers.
Yeah, like my well, just my short from the other day. It was, well, I did two of them. They were both on my convertible. The one was, oh, I locked my keys in the Capri, so I had to take the convertible out, which was fun. Because convertible has all season tires on it, so she was kind of slidey about as I had to drive her up to Greg's. So again, but then I did that, and just kind of showcasing the car or whatever in the snow, and that has like 1,100 views because why not? And then the other one I did was just a quick little 22-second video of it idling. That video has like 1,200. It's just, again, YouTube being stupid with shorts.
Harvey says it appeals to those who have shorter attention span, but the problem is that doesn't attract the crowd that I'm looking for. I'm not looking. My videos aren't, I guess, short attention span friendly. My videos are more for people that are interested in the more details of how something is done or how I do something. Because sure, I could do a quick freaking time lapse of me doing something, but I'm kind of more of I want to show people the effort that I have put into something.
Well, say actually something for you that might be an interesting thing to try. So, like, when you're done actually, like, uploading a video, like, a month later, maybe see about doing, like, a time-lapse sort of version of it and see if it does any better. Like,
I guess I could try.
You still have that original video for the people that actually want to see it, but then you have that secondary version that might just get you the views.
Can you guys hear that?
I heard the caller.
The dog has the cat cornered in the office. He's blocking the escape. Did you get whacked? Did the cat get the better of you? You sound like it. You sound like you got bopped in the snoot. You're not that much bigger than the cat.
Well, that's the one thing though is like the average retention span of my channel isn't that great.
And that's I'm trying to grow that part because my videos aren't short; they're 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, all of my videos.
And so if I attract a bunch of people that only want 30 seconds to a minute freaking videos, then I'm not getting what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those subscribers that are into the more in-depth videos.
Well, you do know that you can attract both, and then sometimes people will do.
Well, yeah. And again, it's not like I said. It's not that I won't do shorts. It's not that I haven't done shorts. I've done shorts. Problem is the shorts completely screw my analytics all out of whack. Really messes with crap. And then I can't see the information that I'm actually looking for. And two, I don't, like I said, it throws, like, yeah, sure, 11,000 views, right? But also, if you go through the shorts, I can't tell you how many videos I viewed that I didn't really want to view that I accidentally viewed because it just happened to be what came after the thing that I was watching.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing though. Like, it's not a bad thing though.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I don't like what it does to my analytics, and
for me, it doesn't bother me on the analytic end because I don't.
You don't
always go off
like I do.
Yeah. Well, I guess with me, I mean, views are nice and everything. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm encroaching on 600,000 views on my channel. With 680 uploads.
Yeah, but how many views of that are actually people that are actually watching your content versus people that are just flipping through the freaking YouTube short reels?
Um,
Because
well,
I have close to, what the fuck is it? I have 1,317,000 views, and almost none of them are from shorts. So like, and those are people watching the channel for several minutes
well, and
per
to
video.
be fair, like with me, like don't get me wrong, I have shorts that have done extremely well, but none of them have like my best short. I think it has like 12,000 views, but most of the shorts only get between 400 to 1,200 views. But I may have done like 100 shorts,
All right.
maybe. Like I don't know for sure. I haven't counted them.
All right.
And like I don't mind doing them because it's just a quick little snippet, whatever, and it's kind of fun that way, and it will get you some subscribers, like, or can, right? So
Right.
I don't mind that. Like, and some of those people will translate to people actually watching my other. That's cool because the shorts don't get you anything. Like literally,
No, they don't.
even if you monetize a short, you get nothing out of it.
No.
You just don't.
And the thing is the amount of time and effort that some people put into their shorts. It's like, where are you getting the return?
I never understood that unless if like I don't if you get like hundreds of thousands of views, it's a little different.
Well, I
But
mean, I understand it on TikTok and whatever because views actually directly relate to a following because that's all that platform is. I think he is sleeping now. Yep.
yeah, he's snoring.
We'll just there we go. Poor guy. We tuckered
I
him
knew he was
out.
on his way out to sleep, like because it just even when he said he's not asleep yet, but like he had his eyes closed and he was falling asleep at that.
Yeah.
May not have
Yeah,
been
I
there
don't know.
yet,
I don't know.
but
It's
he
just
was.
like it is what it is. I don't know. I it's again, it's not like I don't see the reason to put the time and effort.
Well,
He,
that's
he
the
just
that's the
waved.
beauty of it. There is almost zero time and effort put into it.
Welcome back, Sleeping Beauty.
I wasn't really sleeping.
Oh,
You
bullshit.
snored.
Dude, you was sawing logs.
Yeah,
No,
we heard you snoring, guy.
You was
No.
snoring on national television.
Snoring, no.
We
Having
have video
trouble
evidence of it.
sleeping,
Okay. Well, we'll chalk it up to whatever you want. It sounded like a snore to me.
no. My fiance was here and thinks she has to have my heater cranked all the way up.
Is she gone now?
Yeah, but I'm lazy and didn't want to get up and
But I
tinker
could
with the
sworn
heater.
I didn't even see you get up and say goodbye to her because she was I know she was there earlier during the live.
Yeah, she turned around and leaned over and gave me a hug and
Oh, I didn't see it. Didn't catch it. Sorry.
like,
But anyway, yeah, I think I said I was gonna pop off of here like a while ago. Wasn't that like 11 or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, half hour.
Yeah, it was like midnight, I think. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys all get some sleep. I need some sleep because I still haven't caught up to the sleep that I lost all week. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday at 9 Eastern. So
Monday I get to play in Harrisburg.
So what? Monday
I
you're
get
going.
to go to Harrisburg Monday.
Why are you going to Harrisburg on Monday? Is this something that needs to be on the live, or you want to talk about it afterwards?
I can be afterwards.
All right. Well, let me end this, and I'll talk to you in a minute. End screen.